All right, we are good. So, what is up, my people? Welcome back to another episode of Last Call Fantasy Football. I am your host, Saxophone Delmone, here with my friends. Oh,
is it just Michael Rascon with you today?
What's up, Rascon? I think we lost Maria.
Uh-oh. Well, we can definitely try to get her back in here. Let's see.
Well, I know you were having problems in while we wait for her. I know you were having issues in my two leagues.
Well, yeah. So everyone, I'm part of 3 of Delmone's fantasy football leagues, and there's in one of them right now. I'm actually by far the highest scorer. So I'm sitting pretty comfortably at 3-0. And in another one, injuries just plagued my entire roster. I mean, I got seriously the most unfortunate. I have Godwin, Barkley, Kittle. I really made some bad choices there. So I've been playing the deep waiver wire, and it's been interesting. It has. By far, I'm the worst team in that one. But in your other league, I have this weird predicament going on here where I'm almost at the bottom of my division, but I'm the second highest scorer in the league. I've just been playing some really juggernaut teams every week. I'm playing the highest scorer, it seems like, So. Mm-hmm. Those are those situations where you're like, what else can I do? Your team's doing everything possible. So what's your take on something like that?
Well, for one, especially to all the other commissioners out here, that's why for the playoffs, there's only 4 teams for the playoffs, and we do 2-week battles as a cumulative. Because for one, I take, when it comes to the playoffs, I take the 2 top teams that win each division, right? Because there's only 2 divisions. And then the next team that has the best record, because somebody always is right there.
Yeah.
And then instead of bringing the 4th place team with the 4th place record, like somebody like you, who has 0-3 through the season so far, but has the second most points, that is not necessarily your fault that you just happen to be scheduled up against 3 top tier opponents right off the bat, right? Mm-hmm. So if you would have played anybody else this week, you would have won. And it looks like it happened to you 3 weeks in a row.
Well, actually, I'm 1-2, but still, it's still
sure,
tight.
Still. So what I do for the 4th playoff spot is whoever has, aside those 3 that made the playoffs, whoever is next on the highest fantasy points. So whoever has scored the most points the whole season gets that 4th playoff spot, because I only want in the playoffs the top 4 fantasy players. Now, some of those people that won it because of their record, well, what if they 3 of those, sometimes in the middle of the season, people know they're going to lose, so they just drop out, they quit. And, hey, there's Maria. So what messes up the league is sometimes somebody gets the perfect schedule where they play all 3 people that quit that season. And so they win automatically. And now it looks like they're the best team. And then they get into the playoffs and they get spanked because their team sucks.
Yeah.
So I don't want somebody that got lucky and skated into the playoffs off of the luck of the draw when it comes to the schedule. I want somebody like you that, oh man, instead of getting the 3 easiest games, they got the 3 hardest games. Instead of going 3-0, you 1-2. Well, that doesn't necessarily measure how good your team is or how good of a fantasy football player you are. So I would say don't worry about it. Don't worry too much about your record, because even if you don't win your division, if you're still number 2 in points, at least when it gets down to the playoffs, if you don't win your division, you'll make it in on points.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So question being, and I think a lot of people are maybe interested in, do you have to go in there manually as a commissioner and, place that second highest scoring team into the playoffs, whereas the computer might go ahead and push the 2 seeds in,
Right. The computer's going to do what it normally does. It defaults. And so in the commissioner's notes, you get a league manager note or whatever you can write to your league. I put those rules and leave them up all season, all the rule changes in that note. So if anybody says, "Oh, that's a bunch of BS. I should be in. I scored fourth place," I'd be like, no, only the top 3 places get in, and then whoever scores the most fantasy points, excluding those 3, out of the rest of the league, whoever scores the most points, that's who I put into the play.
This is what I like so much about fantasy football, and this is what I like about doing 50 different leagues, is that there are different scoring settings in different leagues. It's so interesting to see what everybody else, their own spin on it. So, everybody, I believe everybody can play however they'd like to. I love your rules, how you punish quarterbacks where you should, or also the rule where you get, an extra 4 points if the team wins, or you lose 4 points if the team loses. This does discourage you from using those losing teams, their players. So that's one of the things I do like about it the most, with all these different rules, but I do like that. So anyway, we definitely need to talk a little bit about the waiver wire, because yet again, there's some injuries.
Well, wait, before we talk about them, what's up, Maria? How you doing?
How are you guys?
Oh, we lost you for a sec. Everything good now?
Yes, all good.
All right. Well, let's get into those injuries then.
So first and foremost, Chris Godwin's out again.
He's out again? Wait, I missed that.
Yeah. He's doubtful. It's looking like right now. He's probably not. He might even miss a couple of games, they're saying, at this point. So,
what is he out with? I missed. How did I miss that?
Do you have him on any of your teams?
Maybe not.
This is a very notable injury, because a lot of people used either a lot of their budget on him at the beginning of probably the second round. I'm saying he was at least a second round pick.
Some people took the first round.
Yeah, he was
second receiver off the board.
And now all of a sudden there's already the inconsistency that's been going on with Tom Brady kind of fitting in finally. But then again, I've seen a lot of inconsistency with a lot of these fantasy players. People thought Fournette was going to go and get all these points this week, and guess what happened? Kind of a dud. And the same thing is going on with Godwin. The same thing is going on with these deep waiver wire picks. A lot of people are going in on like Scotty Miller and stuff like that, and then Scotty Miller's crap in the bed. It's really weird right now using these players. I have Mike Evans on a couple of my teams, and at least he had 2 receptions for 2 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's worthwhile right now, and Tom Brady is improving. That's it. It seems to me like it's Mike Evans and Tom Brady. Gronk had a great game all of a sudden. It's a little too unpredictable, just like it is with those Patriots running backs. That brings up something else. Rex Burkhead going off for 3 touchdowns and is probably like the top fantasy player of the week that's not a quarterback. What do you think about Rex Burkhead? Do people
want to go back to Chris Godwin? What's going on with that game?
Oh, well, I believe that he has some sort of a head injury. I believe.
Concussion protocol, probably.
Let's see. Right now, the latest news. Oh, no, it's not. It's not a head injury. It's actually something that's probably a little worse. It's a hamstring injury.
Oh, that sucks.
And it looks like right now he's going to miss this game against the Chargers for sure. And it's possible that he's also going to miss the Thursday night game in Chicago as well. So you guys are going to need to look elsewhere at this point. And honestly, at this point, if you can afford to keep him there, if you believe that you have a good enough team, go ahead and do that. Keep him on your bench. However, if you're kind of in danger right now, if you're 0-3, bye weeks are going to start now, coming up pretty soon here, I think it's probably safe to trade him. Somebody will give you a decent piece for Godwin, knowing that when Godwin comes back, he's going to contribute. He seems to be Tom Brady's favorite receiver when it comes to the deep ball.
Yes, trade. Hamstring with a speedy wide receiver.
Yep.
Maria, you want him? I'll trade you him.
No, I have already had a rough start to the season as it is. Not only injuries, but, bad judgment on my end. So I am going to stay away from anyone that already has question marks.
everybody has question marks. It seems like, seriously.
Well, I mean, like significant question marks that are
Yeah.
So-
happening continuously. You know, I'm gonna. I think I have a little bit of wiggle room to make some moves on the waiver wire in the next couple days. So I'm gonna go with that.
So is
Yeah.
anybody on Tampa Bay worth picking up?
Mike Evans or Tom Brady, but I don't really know if anyone's going to want to give those people away right now, those players away. Tom Brady's going to heat up. Like a lot of people, I think, overreacted for that first game. And I definitely want to talk a lot today about overreaction, because that's all everyone seems to be doing these days when it comes to the NFL, is overreacting when it comes to players. So anyway, back to what we were talking about with Chris Godwin, first and foremost. I don't necessarily know if you want to pick anybody else up to be like a handcuff at this point, because Scotty Miller didn't pan out when I picked him up on the waiver wire. I just don't trust anybody right now other than Mike Evans and Tom Brady. I mean,
So this is interesting because Tampa Bay paid the Bears 3-0.
Nick Foles, man. Nick Foles.
So
Yes.
is Tampa Bay about to lose to the Bears?
Possibly.
They
Very
could.
possibly.
They could.
And I think, honestly, first of all, I don't want to go ahead and overreact on the fact that, Nick Foles did this against the Falcons of all teams. Like, everybody's going to do it to the Falcons, it seems like nowadays. So that being said, though, he's impressive. He's Nick Foles. He's a Super Bowl MVP. He did have a disappointing season in Jacksonville, and that was right at the same time of the emergence of Gardner Minshew. So it was just an unfortunate situation. We knew this was coming eventually with, having Mitch Trubisky replaced. It's funny how they are 3-0. It's like the perfect situation for him to come into. Notable things that happened, as much as I don't want to admit it, Jimmy Graham is turning into a top target for Nick Foles, or at least in this last game he was. Anthony Miller is actually seeing, some pretty decent targets. He had that really long touchdown to kind of help him lead that comeback. So I definitely think that now that Nick Foles is leading this offense, it's going to drastically change the fantasy landscape for these players. It's very notable also that Tariq Cohen is on injured reserve. Believe he tore an ACL. So he's out.
He's done.
And that means that people like Cordero Patterson are probably going to step up. The tight end, Jimmy Graham, is going to be seeing a lot more volume. And I think right now, as it stands, Anthony Miller is probably kind of worth if you need to play the waiver wire right now and you need a wide receiver, he's a decent option. What do you guys think?
Go ahead, Marie.
Yeah, I definitely am intrigued by the Bears offense now, and I have Anthony Miller actually stashed on my bench on one of my leagues, so I am a little bit excited about that. I think Nick Foles is going to do better. You instantly saw the whole entire team completely change and just start playing more, better. I mean, they did all of that pretty much in the fourth quarter. So I think having Nick Foles there is going to give everybody a boost on the offense.
Yep. I think I'm kind of sad because I have Tom Brady in one of my leagues, but
You're sad? I wouldn't be sad. He's doing pretty well.
I think he's going to lose this
There's
weekend.
fantasy.
In my leagues, if your player's team wins or loses, you win or lose 4 points. And in my league, those 4 points are very important.
Yeah. Well, okay. First of all, you're telling me that Justin Herbert and the Chargers are going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this weekend.
Wait, what? No. The Bears play.
Oh,
that's week
coming
5.
up. I
I'm
think that's
sorry.
The Thursday night game afterwards.
I'm looking at week 5. Dang, that's crazy.
I don't know about I could see that the Bears. First of all, we have to see how the Bears are going to perform next week. I don't want to overreact, like I said, because this did happen against the Falcons of all teams. So I don't want to go and crown Nick Foles a top quarterback in the NFC just yet. What he did was impressive, and we all know what he's capable of. But I'm not going to go ahead and give him the crown just yet. If he does play well, and if they are able to beat the Buccaneers in a couple of weeks here, I think that they're going to give Green Bay a run for their money when it comes to the division. I absolutely think so. because they have a pretty decent defense. It's not as good as it's been in the past, and they have good offensive players. I did want to believe in Mitch Trubisky, but he really did hold a lot of people back in that offense. David Montgomery is actually a very good running back, man, like really good. And I didn't really get to see that much when, Trubisky was leading the team. So, yeah, this is going to be interesting.
It is. And I'm sorry for that. I didn't realize I was on the wrong week. So, yes, the Chargers played Tampa Bay. I mean, yeah.
I believe so.
Mm-hmm.
And I still think without Godwin, and Brady doesn't look too confident behind that line, Khalil Mack is starting to figure it out. Is he going to be playing, though? I know he's been having injury problems.
Oh, yeah, he has. I'm not quite sure. But I think at the end of the day, yes, to beat Tom Brady, you must pressure Tom Brady. You need to make him get rid of the ball right away. But I think that, I don't know, they're starting to gel. This team is going to get into the playoffs, and I believe they're going to get in through the wild card, but I believe they're getting into the playoffs. But here's going to be the real test. Nick Foles has to play against the Indianapolis Colts this coming week. So if they can convincingly beat this team, then yes, I believe that Nick Foles and the Bears are going to be able to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Colts are getting hot at the right time. They lost Marlon Mack during the first game, and I think that threw them off mentally. So they had a very uncharacteristic game. Since then, they've been great. They've been great.
So
and
I have Herbert. I have Herbert in. I dropped Mayfield and picked up Herbert. So do you think I should trade back for Mayfield, or should I keep Herbert against the Bucs?
Well,
or do you even think Herbert's going to start after that?
Oh yeah. He is starting. Oh man, that's
starting.
I guess the question is, how is Baker's schedule looking? That's really what it comes down to.
Baker plays the Cowboys this week.
A lot of volume.
Or should I just try to go get Nick Foles?
Isn't that great? Their defense is, what the below average.
Looking right now at this schedule of Baker Mayfield's and the Browns, it seems to me that Baker Mayfield is not going to be a very viable option now for the middle of the season. There are some tough matchups coming up. However, at the very end of the season, there are some very favorable matchups as well. So I think that he might be one of those quarterbacks down the road that's going to be able to get you some really decent fantasy points into the playoffs. But definitely, they go to Dallas, then they play Indianapolis, then they go to Pittsburgh, then they go to Cincinnati, and that was already a really high-scoring game the last time. I think there's a good chance that, the Bengals might be able to pull off the win the next time. And then they play Las Vegas, and then they have a bye. So
what about Herbert then?
And as far as his schedule goes,
because he went off against the Super Bowl champ, so we know he's not scared.
No, he's not.
Yeah,
scared.
He's not scared, but who did they just lose to again? Go ahead and remind me.
Who did who lose to?
The Chargers.
Who did they just lose?
Wait, this past weekend?
Mm-hmm.
With Herbert. The Panthers.
Yes. They lost to Teddy Bridgewater and the Panthers. They gave the Super Bowl. They gave the Super Bowl MVP some work, and then they lost to the Panthers. So I'm not saying that Herbert's not going to be a great quarterback. He's great. I don't. Let's see. They have Tampa Bay, then they go to New Orleans, then the Jets and Miami, very favorable matchups. Jacksonville after that. So there's a good 3 weeks there where he is going to. But right now, Tampa Bay and New Orleans over there.
That's going to be an NFL wake-up call for him for sure.
Yeah.
So you think I should drop Herbert and go for Foles then?
Absolutely.
I would.
Dang it. All right.
Absolutely. There's way more boom potential there. He already showed off what he can do against.
You can trust Foles more just because we have more evidence already. We have more film. We have more evidence. Herbert's he got that, excitement high going on. He got to get step on the field. The other, defense didn't know what the heck was going on, and he took advantage, which is good. But teams figure you out very quickly. So you got to go with more of the veterans on that end.
Yep.
And I'm worried because, Chris Harris went down for he's out for 6 weeks with a foot injury, Chris Harris Jr. on that defense. So it looks like the defense is still falling apart like every year.
The Chargers are just falling apart. Mike Williams is questionable again. It's disappointing. Like Austin Eckler and Kelly and Hunter Henry.
So with all of the injuries on offense, all of the key injuries on deep passes on defense now, are the Chargers defense worth holding on to? Because a lot of people pick them as a top 10. Some people pick them as a top 5 defense going into this year.
They do have favorable matchups. If you want to stream them, absolutely. If you can afford to keep them on your bench for 2 weeks and then you start them up against the Jets, the Dolphins, and the Jaguars in a row, yeah, I would say if you can afford to not play them over the next couple of weeks, absolutely. The Chargers, they're a bunch of professionals, man. They have great players on this team. They have a great coach. They're going to be okay. I just feel like these 2 receivers are the ones, and even Herbert himself, they give me anxiety. I don't know from 1 week to the next whether or not Keenan Allen is going to get me 7 receptions for 100 yards and a touchdown or 3 receptions for 20-some yards. I can't depend on that. And Mike Williams is the same. He's a very, very boomer bust player. Like he's either going to really help you out or he's not going to do anything for you at all. So I would say the running backs are what they're going to lean on, and Herbert's legs. They're going to run the ball and they're going to play defense. But I just feel like over the next couple of weeks, they're playing against they're playing against the Buccaneers who got it rolling now. Without Godwin, we're going to see how they can play. They've obviously been able to win a game without him, but then again, too, the inconsistency with the running backs, I don't know what's going to happen there. But I do know for a fact, and this, I kind of want to segue into this a little bit too. They've got to play New Orleans, and New Orleans is not very happy with what's going on.
No, you can't talk about New Orleans before you talk about Fournette and Rod Jones Jr.
Inconsistency. I don't know who to trust from 1 week to the next. I really don't. I feel like I wouldn't want to play either of them unless I had to. I would rather play Myles Gaskin week after week than to guess at Fournette or Jones 1 week to the next.
What do you think, Maria?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Just because we already kind of know how Tom Brady is week to week. He does change up his, offensive weapons pretty regularly. So if I have somebody better that I trust, that I see more consistent, I'm going to start them over players like, that are on Tampa Bay as far as Fournette and Jones goes.
Man, you guys suck. I got Brady and Rod Jones Jr.
Well, Brady's gonna help you out. He's gonna be great for you. I guarantee that.
Brady's not an issue. It's he's the one creating all the offense. So it's just the running backs and the receivers.
But this is one thing that I think Dale might be a little concerned with is in Delmone's leagues, the quarterbacks are severely punished. Severely punished. Look at what happened in week 1. I mean, I want to go ahead and give every team the benefit of the doubt because right now, a lot of teams, I don't know, there was no preseason. Everyone's a little rusty. The Buccaneers look like crap in week 1 against the Saints. That defense completely dominated. Janoris Jenkins had a pick 6 against Tom Brady. They made Tom Brady look like he shouldn't play football anymore. So
he was throwing 6 feet over people. It was bad.
Yeah, it was bad.
But I mean, it's fixed it. So
the O-line can be boomer bust depending on I think pay attention to the defensive lines that the Buccaneers are playing against. That's probably all I would say is because you don't want to play Tom Brady obviously in a game where he's going to get sacked 5 or 6 times. He's going to get you negative points unless he's throwing for 350 yards and 3 or 2 touchdowns.
Okay, before we get to your Saints, let's touch on this Thursday night game real quick.
I loved it. I mean, okay, I didn't love the game, but Maria, what did you think about this game?
Yeah, this game was pretty awesome. I liked it a lot. I think we learned, some good stuff, but it was fun. It was It was a good, entertaining game for sure.
You saw the stuff I was posting before it. Like yeah, when you get two last place teams together to battle in holy matrimony, it's funny, man. It's like a getaway.
It was the best worst game of the year. It was like
went and picked up Fitzpatrick because he showed us he can still do some stuff. So that was cool.
The beard.
I think we all kind of know that Fitzpatrick has that magic in him, but he has the magic in him just for a limited time, it seems like. But
Spurts,
what I
spurts.
do think like really stood out this week was Myles Gaskin, the running back from the Miami Dolphins, is proving that he is sort of like a viable fantasy option. I believe if you really need like a flex option, Myles Gaskin is great. And even they did win this week anyway. But James Robinson on top of that. James Robinson.
Yes.
At this point, there's no denying that he's a top running back. I'm not saying he's a top 5 running back, but at this point, he's definitely a top 15 running back. He's definitely an RB2 option. And I think that if he, for some reason, is not already picked up, go get him. And I would even say, honestly, it seems to me, and it's not really about the whole, are they going to be playing from behind or not? Because I know in a lot of running back situations, especially if they're just purely a runner, if the team's not playing from ahead, they're not really going to utilize him as far as volume goes. But Robinson catches passes. In a PPR league, Robinson's dominating right now. Obviously, he was one of the top players of the week. So what do you think about these two players moving forward now?
Jaguars have an elementary offense. I think they've been figured out, and congratulations to Minshew for having a great, first 2 games. But coaches all around the league did not even get a chance to practice tackling this season. Like, the veterans weren't allowed to even haze the rookies because there wasn't long enough training camp in preseason to really have that kind of like fun. Like, everyone's so behind. And so this is basically going to be the last of what we see as a preseason. And I don't like to see my quarterback taking dives toward when everybody else is getting good.
Don't overreact just yet, though. Look at their schedule. They play the Bengals, then they play the Texans, then they play the Lions, then they have a bye, then they play the Chargers, then they play the Texans again. And then after that, their schedule gets significantly harder. So I believe that right now, holding on to Minshew, if you have to hold on to Minshew, if there are no other consistent options on that waiver wire, I would hold on to him because he does have favorable matchups coming up. And James Robinson definitely is someone you want to hold on to right now. But those receivers, I was really disappointed in them. Chenault and Cole, and I guess now they're even using Conley a little bit again. Like, not having DJ Chark there changed things significantly.
You holding on to DJ Chark, Maria?
I didn't even pick him up, so I don't have to worry about it.
You don't believe in DJ Chark either?
I don't know. That offense besides Robinson just doesn't seem quite like they're vibing or really consistent with what's going on there yet. So yeah, I'm not trusting that receiver core group at all.
Once they went into zone and they started zoning him up and stopped trying to blitz him as much, because Minshew seems pretty good under heat. So they just didn't really put him under that fire that much and made his receivers like work and try to get open. They couldn't. It's not necessarily Minshew. It's the X's and O's and it's his receivers.
Yeah, well, I actually do want to go ahead and place a little bit of blame on I don't know if it was Conley. I think it was Conley. Was it somebody just kept dropping the ball? Or was
Conley's always dropping the ball. That's why the Super Bowl champs let him go.
So honestly, man, like I feel like it was just a bad game, and they're not a playoff team, but I do think that if you're able to hold on to some of these wide receivers from the Jaguars, let's see how they develop. I think it's too soon to kind of say what's going to happen next. They had a bad game. Fitzpatrick, he played lights out. It was great. So I don't, like I said, they have a favorable schedule moving ahead, at least for the next.
It wasn't Fitzpatrick. Jaguars only scored 13 points. That's not because of they had to score too many points. It's because that the X's and O's on that offense were elementary.
It was a bad game, not because it was elementary. It was a bad game because they didn't have DJ Chark out there sometimes drawing double coverage. I think not having him there made that offense not run as well. And I think that we're only going to be able to answer this question when we have him return and we see how they play offensively. I think that had a lot to do with it. And I think at least right now, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because of that. They didn't have him out there. So even if he's not going to be a viable fantasy option, I think just having him there, even in the Saints case with Michael Thomas, just not having him there. Michael Thomas didn't really contribute in week 1 at all, but he drew double coverage and they were able to win the game and get other people open because everybody thought it was going to go to Michael Thomas. But now not having Michael Thomas there, it's a little different. So I definitely think we should probably segue into that situation. What do you say?
Well, I mean, you keep talking about DJ Chark, but like Chark is undergoing further testing Monday morning on his chest and back. Further testing means that he's messed up, man. He's messed up pretty bad. And even though he says Marrone sounds optimistic about his number 1 receiver, but it looks concerning that Chark needs more tests to evaluate his injuries. I think he's going to be out for a while.
Okay. I think that means that those receivers are going to get a little bit more time to gel together. They have 3 decent receivers even without Chark there. 3 decent.
Still though, so if he's out for like 4 to 6 weeks, and then he has to come back and it takes about 2 weeks to get back in football shape because he hasn't been in football shape yet. What that puts him at week 8, week 9, then there's a bye. But the only thing that works for the Jags is that they have a very easy schedule. They got one of the easiest schedules.
They play against secondaries that give up big plays. So I do feel like these receivers, with or without DJ Chark being there, if they're going to have to move forward without DJ Chark, I think they're going to end up having no choice but to gel. And there are going to be those big plays regardless because they're playing against teams like the Bengals who do not have a very good secondary whatsoever. So I think that it's reasonable. Like if you need to hold on to these receivers and you don't have any other options right now, I wouldn't go dropping Shenault if I don't have to right now. He can, especially Shenault, he can kind of do a lot because they use him in a lot of different ways.
Everybody on the Jags are definitely worth holding on to just because, like we said, it might be a one-game fluke. And you don't want to give them up too early when it's just one game.
Yeah. The waiver wire is going to start, thinning out very, very soon. Like it's going to be to a point where you can't even really pick anybody else up anymore. And you don't really want to. You'd rather do your trades and whatnot. So yeah, anybody you can hold on to, definitely hold on to them.
Okay, so this week on Thursday Night Football, we got another battle of the booties with the Broncos versus the Jets.
Let's not talk about that at all. Like there's nothing to talk about there. Like the only story right now, I guess, is Melvin Gordon going to have a good game? That's it. Is Jerry Jeudy going to be worthwhile? Melvin Gordon might have a good game.
Is Adam Gase going to show up?
No, they really kind of announced already at this point that if he does not win this game.
Wait, hold on. What'd you say, Maria?
I said it'll be an eye test to be able to pick up people off the waiver wire.
Right. Is anybody picking up anything from anybody on the waiver wire this week for the Broncos and the Jets?
No.
If Jeudy is out or he's questionable and he's not really getting all of these like snaps, I think Hamler's a decent. I mean, if you have no choice, and I will say this, Jets, if Crowder plays, play Crowder. That's it. That's really it. Do not play Darnold. Do not play Herndon. Do not play anybody else on the Jets except Jamison Crowder if he's healthy. And the Broncos, Melvin Gordon and Fant. Right? That's about it.
That's it.
Yep. Well, Jeudy is active for this week, so he's already practicing.
Yeah, but if you pay attention to kind of like the targets that he's getting and stuff, and just like it's not kind of panning out just yet. So, I mean,
he's still work.
Yeah, it's not only that, but it's not his fault. Look who's throwing to him. Who did they have going there? Ribbon or something? I don't know who this is. I didn't even know he played in the NFL.
The horrible quarterback situation there in Denver.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. So, okay, this last week, at least Dolphins were able to pop off and put up 31 points. Do you just see this Thursday night game as just a very low-scoring game?
I think this is going to be the worst Thursday night game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to watch it.
It's going to be a bunch of defense and special teams that are scoring the touchdown.
Four punt returns.
Yeah.
Maybe Melvin Gordon goes off. Maybe for those Melvin Gordon owners out there, maybe he finally has like one of those 30-point weeks. That's or Fant. Maybe Fant goes off again and proves that he really is like a top 5 or a top 10 tight end right now.
It does seem like right now that the Broncos have a chance to play that Miami Dolphins role and actually score, right?
Yeah.
Score a lot. If anyone's going to score a lot, it's probably going to be the Broncos, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So then I do believe, if we're all in consensus of that, I do believe that if you have Melvin Gordon, I'd say start him. Thursday night game, don't have a chance to get over injuries.
Take advantage of that defense. Absolutely.
So start Melvin Gordon.
Start him.
Here's one thing that I do have to kind of point out, though. I don't want to trash the Jets completely because if they do have a bright spot, I kind of feel it's like that D-line and the linebackers a little bit, especially the D-line. They're decent. They're decent. So I think – well, here's the other thing, too. Saquon Barkley had one of the worst games of his career against the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 1. The next week, the Broncos played against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Melvin Gordon had a pretty decent game. So I think having that veteran running back experience there, I think he's going to have a decent game. But I will say, don't underrate the Jets' run defense. Don't underrate that at all. This is why I also believe Fant is going to go off, regardless of who's throwing to him. He's a big guy. As long as they throw to him in his general vicinity, I think he'll be able to handle it. But I don't know who's going to be throwing to him. Is it going to be Blake Bortles?
Oh, God.
I hope not.
I hope not. He's terrible.
I like him.
You like Blake Bortles?
No, I like to hate him. He's terrible.
Yeah.
He is terrible. He completely ruined that Jacksonville Jaguars team. Completely.
Yes, I used to believe in Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson back in those days because they were killing it, and he could just not get them the ball. It was horrible. It was so horrible. It's
awful. So, but I think we've been putting it off long enough. I need to address this elephant in the room. I finally in my life kind of understand like why so many people don't like Saints fans. Like, I don't like Saints fans right now either, and I love the Saints. Okay, there are some issues going on with the team, as you can tell. First and foremost, Michael Thomas isn't there anymore, but at the same time, they were able to win in week 1, and they were able to put up a great fight against the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, if you watch and you pay attention to the Saints games, what loses the games for us is that undisciplined defense, the secondary. I know Janoris Jenkins had an amazing game against Tom Brady and the Bucs in week 1, but since then he has been one of the biggest defensive liabilities out there. I mean, the Saints could have locked up victories if it weren't for massive pass interference calls on him. And it's not just him. I want to go ahead and give these guys credit because people obviously like Marcus Williams, like when the Minnesota Miracle happened, I felt so bad for the guy, and he did step it up after that. But there is some major inconsistency in no discipline. There's no discipline over there. So this brings us to the next point.
There's no bonuses to bounty hunt nobody anymore.
Oh my God! that aside, though, really, people,
no Greg Williams to cheat anymore.
I don't like Greg Williams at all. But anyway, people are attacking Drew Brees. I understand, and I think we all understand that he is an older quarterback.
Well,
just because Drew Brees does not throw 40, 50-yard bombs down the field does not mean that he's not a good quarterback and that the Saints can't win with him at quarterback. The bottom line is they're doing what's working. I don't care. You can criticize Drew Brees all you want for all the check downs, dump offs. But the bottom line is it's working. They're
1-2. They're 1-2, and that's working.
Did you watch the games? Because I think if you watch the games, I think he would be as upset as I am about that defense, man. Like the thing is,
I watched the game, but go ahead.
Yards and penalty. Like, are you kidding me?
it's ridiculous.
Coach is just standing there and hasn't really addressed that. So I don't know what's going on. Not good.
He had one of the most accurate games, and he even in fantasy, he was great this week. So Emmanuel Sanders finally got involved too. I feel like the defense lost that game. There's no question in my mind right now that with or without Michael Thomas, the Saints offense will thrive. It works for a reason. But the bottom line is we need to do something about that defense. And I don't know if they're moving in the right direction because they signed Ken Crawley again. They signed Ken Crawley. So I don't really know what's going on in that secondary right now, but they do play, I believe, the Lions and the Chargers next. So I think there's definitely chance to rebound and finally go back over 500 there. But I think that the attacking Drew Brees, and believe me, you guys know, I've even been advocating for the fact that Jameis Winston is going to be a great option whenever Drew Brees is finally done. But Drew Brees hasn't been losing the games for us. He has not been losing the games. Yes, he has looked uncharacteristically bad. He's not the same quarterback he once was, but he's not a bad quarterback. He's not. What are your thoughts, guys?
They need to go get Earl Thomas.
Someone that can cheat naturally. Oh, don't get mad, Roscoe. I'm just
no.
serious.
I'm not mad. I'm totally like the thing is I completely understand the situation. I know why I know why the Saints are getting attacked. But the thing is, if a lot of these fans just don't pay attention when you're looking and examining this game for what it is, the offense is doing their job. The offense is doing their job.
So do you start Emmanuel Sanders this year, Mr. Offense?
Right now against the next
this
two
game?
matchups, yeah. I would start Emmanuel Sanders against the Lions. Absolutely.
Against Darius Slay? I mean, not against Darius.
Okudah, is he playing?
Okudah?
Is he actually playing? If he's playing, I mean, I still like the matchup. It's Emmanuel Sanders.
I still like the matchup.
I think this is. I don't know if you guys remember, but for a good while there, the Saints and the Lions were almost developing sort of like a rivalry over like the past 6 or 7 years. They haven't played that often in the last couple, but it seemed like they were playing every year. And the last time that the Saints and the Lions played, they had the strangest game ever. I think the game even lasted about 5.5, almost 6 hours long. And I think the final score was like 52-49. And it wasn't even just the offense that was getting involved. There were 2 back-to-back pick sixes in the end zone by both teams. It was a really, really weird game. But I do expect right now, with these two teams, they're both 1-2. It's been disappointing for both of them because I do believe the Lions have a much better team than how they've been playing. I will say they impressed against the Cardinals. 3 interceptions against Kyler Murray. That was great.
And they didn't let him run either. They pretty much bottled him up.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, are you sure you're that confident against the Lions defense with Matt Patricia as a Super Bowl winning defensive coach with the Patriots?
Yes, I'm confident. I absolutely will say right now. Here's the thing: if you have a better option than Emmanuel Sanders, then start that guy. But if let's say you have Michael Thomas on your bench and you got Emmanuel Sanders as that handcuff, you're playing him unless you have somebody better. But I do think that the matchup is favorable, and I do believe that he's going to get 5 or 6
favorable against Okudah. He just said he's been tired of being disrespected.
You're over-exaggerating against you're over-exaggerating on the Lions defense. You're over-exaggerating.
Oh, no, not Lions defense. I'm just talking about Okudah versus Sanders right now.
If he's on him the whole time, then maybe that'll be an issue. But I don't think that's going to be the case. The Saints.
Why wouldn't he shadow him? Who else did you get? Damian Harris?
I would love to talk about this afterwards too, especially if he does have a good matchup. It's Emmanuel Sanders. I don't know why you trash Emmanuel Sanders. I know he's old, but he's Emmanuel Sanders. And I think now, this last game, Drew Brees and Emmanuel Sanders connecting this many times for those big plays. Yes, I think it's there. I think they finally have it. They finally found that he trusts him now. I think honestly, one of the reasons that Drew Brees hasn't been throwing way down the field is because he doesn't trust some of those receivers way down the field. Traquan Smith has been great as an actual replacement to the Michael Thomas role, but Emmanuel Sanders isn't replacing Michael Thomas in the offense. They're just making him more of a primary target. That's the thing. Traquan Smith is actually Michael Thomas's like replacement in that offense. So I have a feeling that Okudah is going to be on Traquan Smith a lot more than he's going to be on Emmanuel Sanders. And not only that,
I don't think that at all.
Jared Cook is also questionable as well. So I definitely think if Jared Cook doesn't play in this next game, yes, Emmanuel Sanders is a great start. I know the Lions are in a bad team. I know that, but I believe that the Saints are a way better team than what's been going on these last couple of weeks. It's been unfortunate. And you guys, the 49ers, have been fortunate. That's like you guys
No,
have
it's
played
just
well.
X's and O's.
It's X's and O's, but look who you guys have played. Come on. Let's be real. Like, let's be real.
We
Who are
lost
last-
the whole team for
I
two,
was about to
for
say,
2
man.
minutes. We already lost the whole
Both sides of the ball. We lost
I know, and I get
lost
that
like
this is
$150
great,
million
but
on payroll.
I would love for you guys to have gone up
That's not
against the Cardinals and the Seahawks these last 2 weeks and see how that would have been different for you guys. You guys played the New York teams, right? You guys played New York both
Yeah,
weeks.
but it's not like it was a close game either. Like
I know it wasn't a close game. You
on
guys-
a hurt-filled game, we were using third and fourth stringers.
I know, but like you said, first of all, the run game's like that already in the Shanahan system. That's number one. Ayuk's been getting involved a lot more, and that's great. Mullins has experience. He's not like just some random dude off the street. And I'm not saying you guys are a bad team, even with this like second string roster that you have going on right now. But the thing is, if you guys played against much better teams these last couple of weeks, I don't think it would have been the same at all. I think that you guys probably would have lost one of those games depending on who you guys would have played, especially if it was divisional play with what's been going on, because even the Rams have been impressing me as well.
We would have beat the Rams, but like we're rolling on all cylinders now, even with the backup guys.
Well,
The
Jordan's out now too, though. He's hurt for like 6 to 8 weeks.
who is?
Jordan Reed.
Oh yeah,
I told you guys were going to kill him. I told you a couple weeks ago. I said you're going to kill him, and he's pretty much almost done.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we only need him for a couple games. Kittle will be back. That was the whole point. Remember?
I hope that's the case. I have Kittle in a lot
now,
of leagues.
now there's no backup just in case something else happens. Like, you know, the first string went down, then partial second string. So now it's going to be like, oh man.
No, I expect Juszczyk to be catching a couple passes now, and I expect Jerick McKinnon to be
If he plays,
motioned out of the backfield.
if he plays,
Is he hurt?
kind of, yeah. He was a little banged up at the end of the game. But even Wilson's a decent option out there too. He's a great option. But at the same time,
They're only great because of the X's and O's. That's it.
well, you guys are going to have 2 more weeks of being great because of the X's and O's because you guys play the freaking Eagles and the Dolphins next.
Yeah.
So-
We're sitting pretty in the shade, sipping lemonade.
You are.
Yeah, we're just going to let our third string win the next couple games so they can keep getting better and healing up.
Must be nice. Must
Don't be mad at the coaching, brother. Don't be.
No, it's the scheduling. It's honestly the scheduling. Like, if the schedule would have been flipped whatsoever, and you guys would have had that tail end of the season right now, that would have been hell for you guys, I believe. But it's great. I think it's very favorable for you guys, and I think that
you still got a third string quarterback throwing up 300 yards.
he's
With
a good
fourth
quarterback.
string wide
He's a
receivers.
good quarterback. He's a good quarterback.
He's
a good
third
quarterback.
string on our team.
I don't care, but he's a good quarterback.
Yeah, he is, but it's just X's and O's, man. Our coach is just that damn good.
Except for counts.
Except for fourth quarter Super Bowls. And then I don't know what happens.
Except when it matters
the
most.
weed kicks in.
He's
and
great,
then
except
he
when it
can't.
matters most.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
We
So-
talked about game from last night because I was very brokenhearted.
Yeah. This. Oh god. Everybody was so hurt with what happened.
I had Andrew, so I'm good.
You're
He's
good.
such
What do you mean you're good? He didn't do anything. He's like
he barely
dropping
caught
balls.
the ball. It was horrible.
But Marquise Brown, what's up with that?
Disappointed.
I just think, honestly, like Lamar said it best. The Chiefs are their kryptonite.
Yeah, and
That's
they're
not,
continuing
that's
to
not
be
kryptonite. The Dolphins are the kryptonite to the Patriots. Kryptonite is something that's weak and can defeat you. No, the Chiefs are everyone's kryptonite. They're the Super Bowl champ.
And what happened with Herbert running all over him, man? Like the thing is, like
Yeah.
it's any given Sunday. Like look at what happened with the Chargers. Like you said, they worked the Super Bowl champions. They worked them, but then all of a sudden you have the. I honestly feel like it just can't. When it comes down to this game of inches and in this game of errors, and if you can't hold on to the ball, there were so many opportunities last night that if they would have just connected, if they would have just if these receivers, especially Andrews, would have been able to hold on to the ball, the game would have been much different. No, like disrespect to the Chiefs. They're amazing. Right now, Patrick Mahomes is proving that he should be up there in the MVP discussion again. Kind of feels like they disrespected him and he's not really in it, but right now he played like he always plays. So anyway, when it comes down to Lamar, don't panic, owners, first of all. He's going to be just fine.
Don't panic. Trade him to me. I'll take it.
It was a bad game. This was the bad game. This was the bad game. Everyone's going to be fine. I will say
So bad.
there are still question marks about this damn like backfield. I don't know. Gus Edwards comes out and surprises all of a sudden, and then Mark Ingram has a week, and then J.K. Dobbins has a week. I wouldn't really want to start any of them unless I really, really had to.
No, let's talk about the real deal is the Ravens messed up letting Earl Thomas go and not having a real replacement.
Yeah, and it shows. You could see it all over the field last night.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like that they were more scared than anything. I don't know what they were not defending. Nothing. I mean, it was hard to watch at some certain times. I was just like, I couldn't believe it. They looked super, super bad. Very low quality. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna. I hope they recoup from that, but it's kind of early in the season for them to get beat down that bad and that exposed. I think it's gonna leave a mark from it.
I'm not a believer in the safeties with Chuck Clark. They thought that Chuck Clark was going to just be able to fill in for Earl Thomas, and he can't. And they do not have a leader on that defense right now. The leader can't come from Calais Campbell. It has to be somebody from because he's not the focal point. He's too busy trying to just rush the quarterback. You need somebody out in the middle, like a middle linebacker, or even
Queen is great. I know he's a rookie, but just give him time. Give him time.
Give him time. The time was the past 3 games.
It's weak, and he's been great the past couple of games. I know this was. I think honestly, my whole take on this is it's overreaction.
He's great. I'm talking about you need a captain to be able to see the plays, and put everybody in position to know how to call their own audibles. That's what Earl Thomas was so great. Is because not only he was calling audibles for the defense. No one knew if he was going to rush the quarterback or just press the receiver, the slot receiver, and fall into coverage. And he was so fast at both of them that you can't really predict what Earl Thomas was going to do. He was such a major disruptor. But now they don't have that. They're relying on Calais Campbell to be that disruptor, and they're double teaming him pretty well. It kind of looks like Calais Campbell's getting a little old as well.
He's still playing lights out, man. He even batted down a few passes and everything last night.
Yeah, but those few passes used to be sacks.
He did get a sack last night.
He got a sack, but they needed more out of him. That's just a regular.
Wait. You're gonna tell me that you need more than a couple of batted passes and a sack out of Calais Campbell? I think that's pretty.
Yes, because the DBs aren't holding it down like they used to. They're not being the audibles are not being called right to put their people in the right place. Tyreek Hill was open all night last night, and we won't even talk about Kelsey. Kelsey was open all the time. He just chose not to throw it to him because everyone else was open.
Okay. Bottom line is that the Ravens defense is going to figure it out. They played great the first 2 weeks without Earl Thomas. This is a one game. I think if it continues, we can talk a little bit more about it. But I think they're going to be just fine. I understand where you're saying that they're lacking a leader. I get that. And I feel like they're going to figure that out. They're going to figure it out. It's the Ravens. They're going to figure it out.
That coaching looked sad last night. I don't know. I hope it was just a bad night, but they had zero answers. I mean, not a single one. The
And
whole
you would, yeah,
night.
exactly. And you talked about who have they played. You talked about who the Niners have played. Well, who the hell have the Ravens played? The Ravens played a tired Baker Mayfield-led Browns in the first week, and then in week 2 they had the Texans, who have panned out to prove that
No,
they're not that.
the Texans have had the worst schedule imaginable. Like that's the worst three. That geez, like okay, I know Bill O'Brien's an idiot. I know that. But like the Texans are not like that bad of a team. They're not. And like let's also if we're going to go ahead and talk about the past couple of weeks, the Chiefs didn't really have the greatest first 2 games either.
The Texans are 0-3, man. How can you say they're not that bad of a team? They missed DeAndre Hopkins. Brandon Cooks is not a replacement for DeAndre Hopkins, and they should have known that Will Fuller was going to get hurt every other week.
It's the offensive line. It has nothing to do with Hopkins. It's the offensive line.
The offensive line was bad even with Hopkins.
Yeah, I know the offensive line was bad even with Hopkins, but the Texans still didn't do anything. What did they do? Nothing. Lose.
I'm just saying, you're the one that said the Texans are good.
No, I'm not saying the Texans are good. I'm saying that that's the worst schedule imaginable for the first 3 weeks. I don't think they should be 3-0, depending if they play different teams or not. But the Texans should have at least won a game by now. Ben Roethlisberger surprised everyone, completely surprised everyone. So the Steelers are great again. And I think right now the Texans played the top 3 teams in the AFC. And the Chiefs, they didn't, like I said,
the Texans aren't one of them.
I know the Texans. Yeah, I know they're not one of them.
Not compete against the top teams in the AFC.
That's my point. They used to be the top 3 teams, and now they're not.
Well, your whole point actually was the fact that you believe the Ravens played just a bunch of weak opponents the first 2 weeks. Well,
right, because the Texans are not a good team. The
Kansas City Chiefs got worked by the Chargers with Herbert. I don't want to hear it because they got worked by the Chargers with Herbert.
You can't say anything about the Super Bowl champs.
They got worked by the Chargers and Herbert, who just lost to Teddy Bridgewater and the Christian McCaffrey-less Panthers.
But who cares?
The bottom line
are you saying the Chiefs didn't play anybody? Or are you worried about the Chiefs not making it back to the playoffs?
I'm telling you that the Ravens are going to rebound after one bad game, and it's an anomaly. That's what I'm saying. Bottom line is it's a total anomaly. This is not going to continue out of the Ravens. They're probably going to be in the AFC Championship, honestly. If not the Super Bowl.
All I'm saying is the only point I was making is that the Ravens haven't played nobody either except last night, and they didn't look too good against a good team.
They didn't even look like themselves.
They didn't look.
The Chiefs looked like themselves.
Yeah, but the Ravens didn't look like themselves.
It looked like the Chiefs got pissed off that they got beat by a rookie and made some adjustments, and now no one can touch them because they're not.
Toying with the play calling, like it was ridiculous. Like
right.
Little side passes and underhand throws, and
they got to have fun with it. Yeah.
I'm waiting for Mahomes to play left-handed the whole game. They look bored out there.
They did. They looked like they were doing like the Harlem Globetrotters were practicing their moves on like
they knew every play. Exactly.
An elementary team.
Okay, well, you made a point, right, about like, you know, how they almost got beat by like a rookie, and so they made adjustments. Okay, well, the Ravens also just got beat by the Super Bowl champions, and the MVP who told everyone at the beginning of the year that he had something to prove. I think that the Chiefs just woke the Ravens up. I think the Chiefs just woke them up because, like you said, they did play.
Why did they need to be woken up when they're playing?
Because
the
they played nobody, right? Because they played nobody, like you said. So why did they need to get woken up? Because they got too complacent because they played nobody.
Of their season, they had to show up like it was their Super Bowl game.
No, it's week 3, and they didn't have a preseason. I don't think that this game. I understand tiebreaker situations at the end of the year, especially now that they're letting a 7th seed in. I get that part of it, but other than that, it's week 3. And they didn't have a preseason. I think, like Dal, you even mentioned earlier, like teams are going to start playing as though preseason's over because they treated these first few games kind of like that. I feel like
you can't say that and then talk about there was no preseason, but then talk about how Justin Herbert, who didn't get a preseason or a game or a snap or even heads up, and he goes and walks all over.
Waking these complacent teams up. Kansas City was complacent against the Chargers. They woke up. the Ravens were complacent
Right.
because they hadn't played anyone the first 2 weeks. Now they're going to be away.
But any team that can't wake up for the Super Bowl champs, that's a problem, Mike. That's a
It's not
serious
a
problem.
It was a bad game. That's all it was.
No. It was a great game for the Chiefs.
Absolutely. I didn't say that. I said it was
Knew
a
how
bad
to
game.
control. It was a great game for the
Tell me
Ravens
what
until they got
happens-
hit in the
tell-
mouth.
Tell me what happens if the receivers catch the balls, because they were right there. Like, tell me what happens when if the receivers caught the balls. You can't place the blame.
Wait,
like,
when has any of these receivers actually caught the balls? That's been the problem with the Ravens.
That's been the
whole
problem
time.
since they lost to the Titans. That was where it was actually exposed that they couldn't hold on to the balls because everybody wanted to go and attack Lamar and saying that it was his fault and that he can't throw, and he could throw. They just couldn't catch. That happened in
Right.
the Titans game.
So yes, that's part. It's another part of proving the point on why the Ravens look like they're in trouble, because now it's not Lamar.
So you
Before
don't
we
think
thought
that
it
the
was
receivers could work on catching? You don't think that if they identify
man.
that
If you
there's a
have
problem-
to wait all the way to the NFL to start working on your catching, it means you can't catch.
It's the COVID season, man. Like, we all know that things are not right now at all. Like, with anybody.
No, if Mario Cooper's catching passes, it's not COVID.
Right. If you
No,
can't catch
he's-
the ball
yeah.
by now,
Well,
that's
once
Marquise
the Ravens
Brown
start
is
going
just
on another
fast.
tear,
He's just
I
fast.
guarantee-
He's a great route runner, but when it comes to catching passes, he's not great. Mark Andrews was bottled up all night long.
Mark Andrews was dropping balls. There were wide open passes sometimes, and he was dropping balls. Mark Andrews was dropping balls.
Sure. But that also comes to the part on, was Lamar Jackson putting them in the right place, or was Andrews and Marquise Brown just trying to spending so much energy to get to the ball that once they actually got it, yes, it hit them in the hands, but it wasn't where they were supposed to be.
I'm not going to say that it was all Andrews, because you're right. I did see a specific slant where Lamar threw it behind Andrews, and there was no way he was going to catch that anyway.
And
but there was
another
even
one,
that big
he got hit.
touchdown pass.
Lamar Jackson was throwing balls too early before the guys were able to get to their spots. Why? Because he was getting.
Because he had to get rid of the ball because Frank Clark was coming at him. Like
he was getting hassled. So, Lamar Jackson has been trying to go away from his game to try to prove that he can throw the ball, and he going away from his game proves that he is not a pocket passer. He needs to have that element of, I will take off after 2 seconds.
He's already proven that he can do that, and he did it last year too.
But he hasn't proven he can win the championship.
No,
or
you're
beat
right.
the
Because
Chiefs.
the Titans happened.
Yeah, but
because
the Chiefs,
the team that was
Chiefs
much
keep
better
happening.
than them beat them because the
The
team
Chiefs
that was
keep
much
happening.
Huh?
The Chiefs keep happening.
Yeah, the Chiefs keep obviously right.
So
That's
forget
why
a
they won the
Super Bowl. You can't even beat the Chiefs.
in a game that you definitely should have been able to at least compete at their level. I mean, maybe not beat, but I definitely thought it was going to be a lot closer, and the competition level was going to be a little bit more on the same page, and it wasn't.
They had a rookie playing quarterback. Breeland's hurt. Not saying Breeland's good, because Breeland sucks, but they let a rookie cornerback manhandle them.
Yeah, they got schooled. It was bad.
There was
it was
nothing.
bad. You're right about
J.K.
that.
Dobbins, the other freshman, was the only one that could actually catch a pass over there.
Okay,
Because
you're right. Like I said, I agree with you that the problem there is honestly, yes, there's a tiny bit right now that Lamar needs to work on when it comes to freaking decision making. Like you said, sometimes he had to get rid of the ball and there was really no choice. Running it's not going to work all the damn time, especially against a defense like that. However, yes, the biggest issue they have is that the receivers can't catch the ball. If that happens, if the receivers could catch the damn balls, this game is going to be way more competitive. And it even was for a second too when they were just trailing by 7 at the beginning of the fourth quarter. The bottom line is, you're right that there's a lack of a leader on the defense. I agree on that, and I agree that the receivers can't catch the balls. However, I completely stand by the fact that it is way, way, way too early to be saying that the Ravens are not the team that they say they are. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
No, you got to look at just the basics, the human basics. Mark Ingram did zero catches for 0 yards. Lamar Jackson was under duress the whole game, and Mark Ingram doesn't get any dump offs. That's what I keep telling you about scrambling quarterbacks. They don't dump the ball off, and that's the problem with scrambling quarterbacks. That's why Pat Mahomes is the only reason why Pat Mahomes is so head and shoulders amongst all these other scrambling quarterbacks, is everyone knows they have to guard the dump off. And when they guard the dump off, he takes off for 15 yards over and over and over again. 3rd and 13, he's running the ball for 17 yards because the dump off is covered.
Okay,
Why?
so you're telling me right now that the three of us here in little Albuquerque, New Mexico, are going to be able to identify these problems, but not the Ravens coaching staff. I think they're going to be just fine. I think they know that these are their issues, and I think they know that they're going to have to fix them if they're going to want to compete in the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl.
That's why it's so easy to sit on the outside and be able to say it, because we're not in the mind of Lamar Jackson. What we're talking about is changing who Lamar Jackson is. That's the whole problem, is if he's going to try to prove that he's a pocket passer, he has to learn how to dump off. But right now, he's so extreme on trying to prove that he can throw through the 3 routes that are out there. I don't need to dump off. Now he's struggling because he does not have a Julio Jones and his Calvin Ridley, or an Odell Beckham and a Jarvis Landry, or Keenan Allen and a Mike Williams. No,
So you're saying he needs weapons. You're saying that he needs weapons, or you're saying that he just needs to get better with what he has?
No, well, I mean, he's not as good of a passer as those as guys that have those kind of receivers. So yes, he has to, he's going to have problems. That's if he's going to keep in that mindset. So that's why, yes, 3 people from Albuquerque can sit up here and say, this is what we need to fix. But the Baltimore Ravens are going to have problems fixing him because they have to fix actual Lamar Jackson, not us.
They're going to be just fine. They're going to be just fine.
Not if
I
he
see
keeps
problems.
running.
I see problems.
I see big problems.
Cool. Well, I think in a couple of weeks we're going to get back to this, and I'm going to totally rub your noses in it. Okay.
Sure. Who they have to get back? Who's their number 1 receiver?
You know who their number 1 receiver is. He played like a number 1 receiver the first couple of weeks too. Like, you know,
I understand Gardner Minshew. I understand Gardner Minshew having problems, but I do not understand Lamar Jackson having problems.
He played the Chiefs. They played the Chiefs, and they weren't ready for him.
So did Jared Hanson.
And they were ready for him.
Yeah,
The
and
Ravens were
Lamar
complacent.
should have been ready for him after the first time they ever competed against each other.
Obviously, Lamar's not right in the head, right? Because that's kind of what you guys are arguing, is that he's thinking, he's paying attention more to other aspects when he needs to fix something that he's just not seeing.
Exactly.
There's too much noise that he's listening to rather than just playing the game. Lamar's more than capable. I think he's holding himself back mentally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to be a pocket quarterback. There's plenty of chances that he could have ran and should have ran and did not, and got sacked because he's tried to stay in there and actually make a play instead of seeing it breaking down immediately and taking off immediately like he used to. He's not the same guy. He's not playing his game, and that's a serious problem, man. And to say that the Ravens got woken up, no, they're awake. It's not them. You can try to blame
They're
them.
not awake if they're playing like crappy teams. Like you said, they were complacent against 2 bad teams. You said that they played nobody. So if that's the case, then how are they awake playing nobody if they haven't even had a preseason?
Everybody wakes up. Even the Dolphins wake up to play the Chiefs.
The Chiefs obviously weren't awake when they played the Chargers. They weren't.
No,
What about them?
I said when they play the Chiefs, ain't nobody waking up to go play the Chargers. They're the Super Bowl champs.
You said everybody wakes up. Obviously, the Super Bowl
to
champs
play
weren't
the
awake.
Chiefs. I said everybody wakes up to play the Super Bowl champs. The Chargers are not the Super Bowl champs. So no, the Chiefs don't have to wake up. And
That's a divisional matchup. Yes, they do.
No,
It's
they
a
don't.
divisional
It's
matchup.
a divisional matchup with a backup quarterback
Those
and the
games have
whole
way more
line,
roots than it-
offense and defense decimated. No, man, you are tripping. Why would the Super Bowl champs have any kind of fear of the Los Angeles
because they're
Chargers?
professional football players. Because they
No,
understand
God.
what a trap game is.
Nobody cares
Yeah.
about the Los Angeles Chargers. Even LA don't care about the Los Angeles
You think
Chargers.
that Andy Reid doesn't understand what a trap game is?
That was not a trap game.
Yes, it was. They had a quarterback that was unproven and a rookie.
No, it's not a trap game for the Super Bowl champs. No,
Yeah, it is.
that
How is it
wasn't
not?
even. It wasn't
That's the
even
definition
close.
of a trap game. It's like the best team in the league against like a team that's probably looking like the worst right now because they don't know what Herbert's going to produce or anything like that. That's a total trap game. They didn't have to wake up because they're playing the Chargers,
No, man.
right?
No, no. You are tripping.
To all the NFL people out there, you cannot fall asleep. It is now the regular season. There's no preseason. So if you haven't woke up, you need to, get with it because you're already behind.
It's a trap game. A game in which a playoff contender faces a losing team, but one that still has some motivation for playing hard and possesses some matchup advantage.
Divisional matchup.
No.
Divisional matchup.
And possesses some matchup advantages. It says nothing about divisional.
The best matchups when it comes to a playoff winning team, when they lose to a team that they have no business losing to, it usually happens in a divisional matchup. Because in divisional matchups, it has a lot more merit. They're usually rivals. There's a lot more writing on it. It's a divisional game. You can't discount the fact that it's like that. That is a
Man, the Patriots are not worried about the Jets. Get over it. They're never going to step up and go, "Oh, we're playing the Jets." Everybody gets serious.
And coaches are worried about divisional matchups. No, they are. Yes, they
not player. We're talking about the players on the field. That's what fantasy football is about. And none of the Chiefs are worried about the last place team. Period. Sorry, man. That's when trap games. That's when games become trap games. The bottom line
is it's still a trap game. That was a trap game. It was a divisional matchup.
Mm-hmm. No, it was how about to say it was an accidental trap game because it didn't start. He didn't play the whole game, so by accident, it could categorize as a trap game.
A trap game means that the playoff team has to have motivation to play hard.
Because divisional matchup.
There was no. Just because it's a divisional matchup does not mean they have to play hard. They play hard if there's a divisional matchup and that last place team has a chance to win.
One game.
No, it's only a trap game.
To the Chargers and they're now 1-1.
You're just talking loud now.
No,
a trap game has to be if the losing team has a chance to win, it becomes a trap game. That's how a regular game can turn into a trap game.
If they have a chance to win. The losing the trap game is usually when they don't take their opponent seriously enough, and the team that has no business winning gives them the run for their money.
Right. That's how a game could turn into a trap game. But the Los Angeles Chargers had no chance of ever winning that game from the very jump, from the first score in the first couple of minutes.
And in trap games, that's usually how it is. They don't have a chance. There's no chance in a trap. That's not how it works.
No, man, you're tripping because you're acting like just because it's a divisional game, it becomes a trap game. No, it's a trap game when the last place team that has no chance to make the playoffs goes against a team that has a chance to make a playoffs, and they start kicking their butt. Then it becomes a trap game.
Both teams were 1-0, and if the Chiefs lost to the Chargers, that messes up standings completely. The Chargers now own a tiebreaker against the Chiefs. It had a lot more meaning to it I could see if the Chiefs were already 12-2, and then they play the Chargers who are 5-10 or something like that. That's different. But I think right now, as it stands, if they were both 1-0, this team won a game.
See, that's the problem is you're trying to make it sound like trap games are decided before a game. No. The trap game starts is decided in game. In game. The Chiefs were killing them. The Chiefs were killing them. Herbert had to bring them back. That's what made it. That's what became a trap game. No, because they weren't even playing hard even at the end. Because they were not worried about it. A trap game means that the playoff contention team has to play hard because they're worried about
you're telling me that the Chiefs don't respect their divisional rivals, the Chargers, at all?
Exactly. They don't respect anybody in the whole league because they're the Super Bowl champs. Mm-hmm. That's what you're not understanding. And that's why even the Ravens game couldn't even be a trap game because the Ravens weren't coming to that game thinking that they were going to win.
I don't know.
That's still the underdogs.
I don't think you can speak for the Chiefs, though. I don't really think you can. I think they respect their divisional opponents. I truly do.
No.
I really do.
That's why everybody out there talks trash. No, there's no respect amongst any of those guys. That's why Mecole Hardman they were throwing bombs to their fourth string wide receiver.
I'm talking about the Chargers and Chiefs, not the Ravens and Chiefs.
I'm just talking about the Chiefs against anybody in the league.
but we're making the point about the divisional respect. They do respect their divisional opponents. I've seen
they
it.
don't. That's what I said. They don't. Not only don't respect their division, they don't respect anyone in the league.
Have you actually like seen these divisional matchups between the Chiefs and their divisional opponents over the last 2 or 3 years? Even though they're the Super Bowl champs, even though Patrick Mahomes won the MVP 2 years ago, every single time I usually see a divisional game between the Chiefs and anybody else, they give them a run for their money, whether it's the Raiders or the Broncos or the Chargers. These matchups are always kind of competitive. Every once in a while, the Chiefs will blow somebody out, but more often than not, they always give the Chiefs work, and I think the Chiefs do respect them.
Okay, like you said, we can't decide what the Chiefs think. So,
well, no. Speaking of respect, though, I think someone that hopefully will get all the respect at the end of the year with an MVP, but that Russell Wilson and the Seattle and Dallas Cowboy game, that was definitely entertaining. And what do you think about that outcome, guys?
Man, I doubt Dak Prescott is playing lights out when it comes to a fantasy standpoint. Obviously, the team's 1-2, but I don't know. I kind of just feel like the Cowboys have just been unfortunate so far. And I can give them a little bit of an excuse because they have a new coach, but they got all the offensive weapons in the world. I don't know. What do you think, Del?
I think Mike McCarthy is doing what Mike McCarthy does. And he's like Van Panic. He's a great high school coach. he does not know how to play situational football. He does not know how to put his players in the right position to get them going. He is using Zeke totally wrong. Totally wrong.
Big time.
There is no way why they should not be pounding the rock with that offensive line, and a guy who could easily be one of the greatest running backs of all time if they gave him the rock. His tattoo says "Feed me." Are they feeding him? Have you seen him doing this at all this year?
A couple times, but that's
a couple times. He got a tattoo on his stomach. Talk about "Feed me," and then what do? Start throwing 45 times a game with the guy that they won't give a contract to.
I mean,
really?
I get what you're saying when it comes to feeding him the rock. You're right about that. They have been passing to him like crazy. They've just been passing like crazy. But then again, too, at the same time, I guess the argument can and should be made that they're not really playing from ahead often at all. Right. They're having to air that ball out because that defense fell apart. Like week 1, I think it was, even when they lost, Leighton Vander Esch got injured that game too.
Right. So when your defense is riddled with injuries and is vulnerable, time possession, dominate time possession. So the other team doesn't even have a chance. The way you beat Brady, keep him off the field. The way you beat Mahomes, keep him off the field. The way you beat Lamar Jackson, just like last night, keep him off the field. And that's not what they're doing.
I think they're going to be okay, given the fact that right now they're number 2 in their division to the Washington football team. It's the NFC East. The Philadelphia Eagles look god awful. They're terrible. They're terrible. The Eagles are terrible. So the Cowboys still have a great chance of getting into the playoffs, even regardless of this Zeke issue that's going on right now. I don't know what to think of the situation. I don't really respect McCarthy that much as a coach, honestly.
This is where your definition of a trap game comes in. The Eagles versus Dallas. That is a trap game. Do you understand that?
Okay, we're going to disagree on this completely again, and we're going to get back into it.
But the Eagles have no chance at making the playoffs.
But then how do they somehow do it every freaking year? They never have any chance, and then they end up doing it 7-9 and getting in because the Cowboys just fall apart.
Exactly, a trap game.
The Cowboys have issues. I don't want to ever compare the Cowboys to a team like the Chiefs ever. The Cowboys just they have.
No, I'm talking about, and you're talking about division rivals. with the Eagles in Dallas.
Every divisional game's like going to be a trap game unless the team's god awful. And the Chargers are not god awful. They have really great weapons like Austin Eckler and Hunter Henry and Keenan Allen, and they still have a decent defense regardless of the fact that Derwin James is down. I do feel like the Chargers get respect because I mean, yeah, they lost Phillip Rivers, but that was their problem. The Chargers have great players. They really do. I think they get a lot more respect than it seems. I really do think that.
I am excitingly worried about the Cowboys.
Yeah. I'm not worried about Dak. I think he's going to have to throw the ball for 450 yards every game.
Well, if they're not going to call any running plays for Zeke.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Zeke should be a workhorse. I get it though, because they already paid Zeke that contract, and they don't want to play Dak that contract, but they got a passing coach.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's not doing anything good for all the talent that he has. Yeah. I don't know about Dallas. They'll make the playoffs just because of their division, but you know, we know what happens beyond that. So
Yeah.
and that's only by default because their whole division is riddled with injuries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they do have two semi-favorable matchups coming up. They play the Browns and then they play the Giants. So I feel like they can at least pull themselves out of this rut. But then they do have to. Well, then they play the football team, and I don't know if you guys saw that too. But like the football team fell apart the other day.
Chase Young got hurt.
And not only that, but Ron Rivera kind of publicly called out Dwayne Haskins, and I don't know if he's going to move forward as the quarterback.
No, I think they're waiting for Alex Smith.
Oh, no, they cannot put Alex Smith on the field. Oh, my God, please don't.
I'm so scared.
The thing with Alex Smith, I think, is that they wouldn't have let him back on unless they saw that he was, like, at least capable of being out there. I don't think they would have been like, all right, come back on, and you can join the – I mean, here's the other thing, too. They do have that Kyle Allen that started with the Panthers last year that Ron Rivera brought with him, basically. And he showed flashes of brilliance, but I think also maybe given the fact that he can learn from the mistakes that he made last year when he was playing with the Panthers, it could turn into something decent because he can throw the ball. He's not a bad quarterback when it comes to throwing.
I don't know, man. Alex Smith is still making $20 million a year. Look at his contract. Essentially $21 million of dead money in 2020. And they didn't cut him. So he's going to make $21 million this year.
I don't know, man. That is a very bold take right now, given the fact that, like, I think no one's really thinking about the fact that Alex Smith can suit up and play snaps in a real game. I think that's what they're gearing for.
Alex Smith is about to take over Dwayne Haskins. You heard it here first. Alex Smith is going to take over Dwayne Haskins' spot.
Oh, that makes me so nervous.
I'm so sad. Man, just retire, man, please. Like,
oh my God. I still don't think he's watched his own 30 for 30 yet. That's why I think that he don't think he can play, because I don't think he's actually seen it.
Makes it
and then half
shivers.
the time he's on, passed out and on medication. I really just don't think he knows exactly quite what happened there, because there's no way. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I don't want to see him.
I don't want to see him hurt. I just do not want to see anything bad happen to him again, because that was so scary.
So let's look at this next game. Well, since we're already talking about the Eagles, let's talk about the Niners and the Eagles.
Going to be a lot of fantasy points going around for the. Well, okay, one good like piece of news that I love this piece of news. Okay, I don't love the fact that somebody got hurt, but I do love the fact that Zach Ertz is going to have no choice but to be that option, because Dallas Goedert's out, and he actually fractured his ankle.
Ooh.
So hopefully this means that Zach Ertz owners can finally breathe a sigh of relief.
But do you think the Eagles even have a chance now?
Against the Niners?
Mm-hmm. They're playing at they're playing in at Levi Stadium. Niners are 2-1, coming off of a very solid win, and the Eagles just came off of a tie. But they did kind of do well.
Yeah, they Carson Wentz did show his little spurts of what he can do at the end of that game. But I don't know. I mean, I guarantee you he's going to try and compete because he hears the noise of what's going on, and how he, is basically just not a good quarterback right now. So I would think that, him being pretty competitive, that he's probably going to try and get something going. If he doesn't do it right off the bat, though, it's definitely not going to happen against the Niners. But I think he's going to try and get his players more involved because he has to. I think they're not making it seem like his job's on the line, but it's getting to a point where you can definitely start to question it.
I know Rascon is thinking that the Niners are going to get smacked.
No. You guys are gonna go undefeated until your starters come back. All of them. You guys are gonna go undefeated. That's what's gonna end up happening.
I think so too.
I'll take all the W's.
Yeah, all right. I'm loving Brandon Ayuk. I think it looks like he's starting to find his flow and understand the game. Is slowing down for him a little bit. They even have him running balls now. Like, oh, wow, anybody can run with the Niners offense. So keep starting everybody except Tevin Coleman.
Yeah.
And it looks like Deebo Samuel is going to start making some appearances. So if he's sitting on your waiver at the bottom because he's listed as out and not in the projection, you might be able to catch him at the bottom of a waiver wire because people have forgotten about him. Check and see if he's on the waiver.
So I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about this running back situation over in New York right now, the Giants. Well, both New York teams. I don't want to talk about the Jets, though. I don't want to talk about that at all. But as far as the Giants go, I'm kind of disappointed that people are like so excited about this Devontae Freeman signing. It's not going to be good. And it's not because I don't believe that he's a good player. I believe that if people really examine the situation and see who's running that New York that offense right now, Jason Garrett and Freddie Kitchens. And I don't know if you guys saw this stat, but Gallman and Lewis combined for a total of 17 yards this last week. So
that line is decimated.
I believe it. I
don't want to touch any of those players, even Freeman. I don't know why people are picking him up. I mean, I guess they have no choice, but that's not going to be a Saquon replacement. I don't even know if Saquon would have had Saquon numbers if he would have played the entire season.
Well, I mean, you can't really – I mean, it's the Niners defense. You can't really judge what a new guy's going to do or even any running team is going to do against the Niners. No one can run against the Niners except Arizona. So ridiculous. But I'm with you. I would not. I am not a Freeman fan. Even when he was in his prime, he's too little to be trying to run like he's Derrick Henry. I appreciate his enthusiasm and gumption, but come on, let's be real. It's the NFL. Some of these guys are 400 pounds, 6'8", 400 pounds. He gets beat up. And he's so fast and he's so shifty that he just never uses it in open field. So, no, with the decimated line and a quarterback who just doesn't seem to get – Daniel Jones just doesn't seem to get it. Just throw the ball. He does not – he does not throw the ball. Throw it to someone. Throw it anywhere. Just throw it. Just don't get sacked or fumbled. And he either throws for 10 yards or 300 yards. It's horrible.
Yeah, there's still a couple running back on the waiver wire, like Jeff Wilson Jr. from the Niners and even Carlos Hyde after Chris Carson going down. I would feel more comfortable picking up better than Devonta Freeman.
Poor Devonta. Is there any news on Rashad Penny?
I'm not sure, but I do know this. Number one, Chris Carson's not going to be out for that long. Carlos Hyde's going to be a good start, and I think Homer's going to be the backup there. But Chris Carson's going to be back pretty soon. It wasn't too severe of an injury.
Yeah, it's like, I think, for Chris Carson.
Mm-hmm.
That was a crazy injury. I could not watch it. I was, I messed my knee up pretty bad. So when I saw it, I thought he was going to be out for the life.
I think it looked a little worse than it really was by far. So
Yeah.
glad he's okay.
Me too.
Well, it says Rashad Penny is ahead of schedule from his and he's 9 months from his torn ACL. You think he's going to come back?
Probably not. I don't know if they need him because like Homer seems to be contributing pretty well.
Okay. Well, I don't want to dwell on the Seahawks as much as and plus they're playing the Dolphins this week. So do you think the Dolphins going to give them any kind of run, or are you starting your guys for the Dolphins?
I mean, if Ryan Fitzpatrick can expose that defense, because it's, their defense is not like, super amazing and, as good as it used to be in years past. So I think they can at least score a little bit. I don't think they're going to win by any means because Russell Wilson is just unbelievable right now. But I think Ryan Fitzpatrick can do a little damage on that defense.
So are we starting Preston Williams? And
not if you don't have to, but I think it's going to be a good start. I mean, if you went and like drafted these guys, this is the week to start the Miami receivers for sure, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm not super scared of that Seattle defense. It's been exposed. You can score on them. It's, it's already been seen that you can at least get some kind of offensive production playing against them. So, yeah, Gaskin, maybe even Gesicki.
So in a two quarterback league, are you picking up Fitzpatrick off the waiver?
Not if you can get your hands on Foles.
Right. I'd rather have Foles.
Yeah, I'd rather have Foles for the whole season.
Yeah, I'd rather have Foles.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick is too inconsistent. Yeah.
Well,
and if you don't have to pay too much for him, if you don't really have a salary cap type league and you can just literally go and pick him up, stream style in a way, definitely Fitzpatrick in the mix.
Whew. That's going to be interesting. So let's keep going down this list. What about the Colts and Bears? That's good. That looks like it's going to be a pretty interesting game.
Honestly, I feel like it's going to be a very high scoring game. I really do. I think that Nick Foles is going to show out like he did last time. And if you look at some of the stuff, like the Colts have kind of been thrown all over. As great as Darius Leonard, the linebacking core, and the line is, the secondary is not that great. So yeah, I think I saw
a stat that said the Colts have the lowest, have given the least amount of yardage than any team as far as that defense. So least amount of yards is that. They do have one of the top defenses in the league, though.
No, they do, but I don't know. A lot of stuff's been really suspect.
Yeah, suspect on the offense, So if that defense has to be out there longer than they want to, that can be problematic.
Think Phillip Rivers can move the ball against the Bears?
Yeah.
Not consistent.
What about Pittman Jr.? Is he going to be playing this week?
Yes, he is.
I think, honestly, your best bets are going to be Hines, Mo Alley-Cox, and
no, he's not.
He's not.
Colts Michael Pittman Jr. has calf surgery, could return by week 8.
Oh, wow. So
he's got compartment leg syndrome. That's
Even
why I
better,
asked you think
even
of
better now
Rivers.
to start Mo Alley Cox. Start Mo Alley Cox and
Yes.
Naeem Hines. Naeem Hines. I hope you guys didn't drop Naeem Hines just because he gave you one bad week.
I didn't.
Yep. We told you not to drop him because they didn't need him. They were up too far up. They didn't need to have a pass catching running back, and with all the injuries, they wanted to, keep him healthy. So, if people didn't listen to us, well, then you should go pick up Naeem Hines and punish the person that dropped him.
Exactly.
But what about what is it? What's the speedy guy? Starts with a P. Paris Campbell.
Oh yeah.
Is he?
I think he's hurt too, though. I think he's on IR.
Looking him up. I'm looking him up right now. He's gonna have surgery, but he's not ruled out for the season.
Yeah. So, but right now, Mo Alley Cox and Naeem Hines. I mean, I know everybody Jonathan Taylor went pretty early, so I know he's not on any waiver wire right now. But yeah, Naeem Hines and Mo Alley Cox, and Mo Alley Cox is on a lot of waiver wires right now. I know that for a fact. So go grab him right now. Philip Rivers loves throwing to that guy.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
So then what's the deal with T.Y. Hilton then?
His grandma said he's going to be a lot better now.
Sounds like backyard football. Well, his grandma said he's going to be all right. Can T.Y. come out and play?
No, so apparently there's a story going on out there where T.Y.'s grandma went up to him and she's like, "Hey, you're not the same T.Y. that I know. What's going on with you?" So I think that kind of got in his head, and he's gonna have no choice now. It's got to be T.Y., Mo Alley Cox, Naeem Hines, and Jonathan Taylor. Those are going to be really, really, really well utilized weapons. End of story. Start those guys if you have them. Even T.Y. I know it's been a roller coaster ride, but start him.
I agree. I don't even like T.Y. Hilton, especially for fantasy, but there's games where he just goes off. And when he goes off, it sucks. It's like 160 yards, 2 touchdowns.
And he's going to try and impress grandma. So you can guarantee he's going to be like, "Hey, Philip, you need to throw that ball my way."
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Philip went over there for some home cooking too. They all got some good home cooking from grandma. And I am highly confident on the Colts over the Bears this week, even at Soldier Field. I think they'll deliver the Bears their first loss, even with Nick Foles at the reign.
I know it's going to be a good matchup, but I don't know. I really don't want to bet against Nick Foles, but it could go either way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be a toss-up game, probably till the very end of the wire there, but it'll be good.
All right, for our next game, we have a moment of truth amongst quarterbacks, which I believe is a must-win for both teams with the Jaguars and the Bengals. A battle of Burrow versus Minshew. Who you guys got?
Burrow. Oh man, I'm going with my Burrow. He's my boy. I'm sticking with. he's getting better. He's struggling behind a really, really bad line. I feel so bad for him when he's out there because you can see it in him. He's trying to compete. He knows what he wants to do, and that line is just letting him down left and right. But I'm sticking with him.
I already know Rascone is Minshew mania over here.
Mixon needs to step it up, though. I don't know what's up with Mixon. He's not quite, up to speed as far as numbers and fantasy goes, and his overall numbers are not very impressive. So, a little worried about that because having that running game would definitely help Burrow out. And I guess it's all with the offensive line. Probably, is the issue there. But
now Mixon got some bigger issues that the football gods are not too happy about. With you don't know about Mixon, look up the bad stuff about Mixon. I think the football gods are still punishing him.
You can see that happening for sure because he hasn't done anything.
Right, and it's weird because you would think that the football gods would just hurt him and then he just sit out. But no, they're just making him bleed. They're bleeding him dry, punching him in the face, if you will.
Making
So,
him work with
yeah,
no
man.
no good stuff out of it.
It's almost saddening how it's happening. So yeah, I'm picking Burrow to really step up and get a chance to bury the mania. I'm not too convinced that. Well, I'm not too convinced about the Jaguars, and I like Minshew, but I just don't think he has enough around him as far as coaching to be able to sustain a positive impact when it comes to winning games. That defense is not going to be able to hold people under 20 points.
Right.
It sucks. Well, it looks like we lost Rascone.
Rascone.
Did he hit you? Oh, my phone's dead. Oh,
Yeah,
shoot.
he said he didn't know what happened.
Oh, okay. Is he coming back?
He's trying. He's working on it.
Okay, well, let's just keep scrolling down. We already touched on the Browns and Cowboys, but we didn't really well, we talked about the Cowboys, but we didn't talk about Mayfield. Is this a breakout game for Mayfield against a weaker Cowboys defense that is going to put up points, or is Dak going to overcome Myles Garrett?
I think so. Dak is that good. They have that, their weapons around him are better all around than in Cleveland. And yeah, he knows he needs to win. So I think the Dallas is just going to kind of dominate on Cleveland.
Really?
I think so, yeah.
I think it's going to be a really close game.
Really?
I think Mayfield is going. I mean, it's not step up because he did really well this past week. Not really well, but he didn't do as bad.
Yeah, no, he definitely did better. Yeah, absolutely.
And it seems like McCarthy is just a dumpster fire over there, and he's got a team of all-stars that are actually saving him and saving his job, because I don't think McCarthy knows what he's doing over there. It looks like he ate too many hot dogs on his year off, and he is not in football line.
He's not doing good at all. I'm hoping that Dak will take charge though and kind of just say, look, I'm gonna play this game the way we need to play it, because McCarthy is killing them. I thought they were gonna improve getting rid of Garrett, but they're pretty much in the same boat.
Yeah, right. And if they let the Seahawks drop 38 points on them, I can see
they're gonna have to score. They're gonna have to score a lot all the time just to keep up with a lot of these teams.
And it's hard to bet against Myles Garrett. He is just a man monster out there all by himself.
I love him. He is one of my defensive players, and I am so glad I picked him up because he is amazing.
Yeah, he's. I can't say enough about how scared I am for quarterbacks when he's on the field
playing. Yeah. He's special. He's good. He's so good.
So with that kind of pressure that I don't think Dak has really seen this season, and with Mayfield starting to kind of figure it out a little bit, it looks like if the Browns put up over 25 points, I think the Cowboys are going to lose. They always have a good game where they just don't figure it out, and it's always at home in front of their home team.
Yeah, I could see that happening as well. I don't know. I'm hoping that, or not that I'm hoping, because I always love when Dallas loses. Don't get me wrong. But I see them being able to, in a sense, kind of dominate on the offensive side and finally use all their weapons, and hopefully Zeke. I mean, I think they're just like you said earlier, not using him correctly at all. And I'm surprised he hasn't really voiced it,
He doesn't need
more.
to. He got paid. He's not trying to get hurt.
Yeah, but I guess, but you
And
figured that they would at least still want to win, but I guess
what
not.
if Dak and Zeke are friends, Zeke should be happy that they're not using him so he can conserve his life, and then also
True.
he can get his boy paid, because if Dak is going to get that close to Mahomes kind of contract, he's going to have to throw over 40 times a game. So it looks like they
True.
need him to throw that much, and
Right.
they don't. But
it's happening, and
It's happening.
that's what and he can do it. He's capable of doing that all game long. So
yes, so I think that, yeah, it's not a trap game, because Cleveland definitely has a chance to make the playoffs. They're 2-1.
yeah, no, they have a chance. They're and they are looking a little bit better. So that's definitely positive on their end, because after week 1, we were already worried about them again. So it's nice to see them kind of get it a little bit together.
Right. Speaking of worried about them, the next two teams haven't won a game at all. 0-6 between the Vikings and the Texans. Well, this would turn out to be a fantabulous fireworks of a dumpster fire show.
For real. Oh my goodness. What is up with all these O teams?
They're terrible.
It is not looking good. I actually still have a little bit more belief in Deshaun Watson and what he can do, definitely over Kirk Cousins. So I'm gonna take Houston on to beat Minnesota in that game.
Ooh, is it going to be a close one?
I think that one could be close.
Just like 0-0?
Just because between those two quarterbacks and the offensive line of Deshaun and lack of weapons and everything else that you could name on the board, it could be a very close game. Yeah.
It seems like this is going to be a Dalvin Cook showcase.
Oh, I hope so.
If he gets out, I mean, because J.J. Watt is great at rushing, but when the running back gets outside of him, man, it looks like he's like carrying 3 guys with him. He's so slow in the open field. It's crazy. And I think that Dalvin Cook is going to have plenty of opportunities to get to the outside where Texans have nobody. They're relying on their linebackers, and last game proved that their linebackers they don't know where to go.
Yeah, that team is in bad shape, unfortunately.
So Texans are going to beat the Vikings. What about Justin Jefferson?
I'm giving Deshaun one more chance to. This is it. After this week, then I'm definitely thinking that it's going to be pretty much their season's done. So
does that mean David Johnson and Brandon Cooks are on your fence as well?
As far as starting them, or
even keeping them on your team, are you thinking about trading all 3 of these guys?
Whew. You would have kind of hoped you already did, right?
They're going to be hard, but with Will Fuller, Fuller out,
it's hard now. Yeah.
Will Fuller is definitely out, right?
I believe so. If not, barely playing because he's broken. So
always broken. I don't understand why people even jumped on him at the beginning of the season, thinking that he was just going to be healthy. But is he? I mean, he didn't even get a target last game.
Yeah.
In week 2. And last game, what did he do last game?
He hasn't done much.
4 or 5 targets for 54 yards, and he saved owners with a score. but to be a number one receiver getting 4 or 5 targets for 54 yards, that's dink and dunk.
Yeah, that's definitely not number one numbers at all.
No, I mean Russell Gage, Mecole Hardman, those are third and fourth string receivers, and they're getting twice as much work done as Will Fuller.
Right.
So
it's not looking good.
I'm worried about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we kind of have been for after week 2, I believe. We were just like, oh man, Texans do not look good.
Okay, so Will Fuller is not on the injury report, so that's good news. But look at David Johnson, rushed 13 times for 23 yards. I mean, he had a score to save him, and he had 2 catches for 23 yards as well. But
that's terrible. Oh my gosh.
Considering Duke Johnson's out with an ankle, and he still only got, what is that, 15 touches? 46 yards total? That's not good at all.
Nope.
That's not good at all. So, and you still think the Texans, with the way, are going to win, even though Justin Jefferson just blew up the league and led all receivers with over 150 yards receiving?
Oh man, I forgot about him. He did.
And, I mean, so Thielen is working on all cylinders. It doesn't look like he's hurt anymore. Justin Jefferson has found a newfound home as the Stephon Diggs replacement and looks to have some kind of trust with Kirk Cousins now. And no one can stop Dalvin Cook. He's actually running all over the place.
So the only person that's going to end up losing that game is Kirk Cousins.
Or Bill O'Brien.
Yeah.
So no one can win this game. Either team can lose it.
Right. It's gonna come down. Who's gonna lose it?
Who's gonna lose
it worse?
That's hilarious. Oh man. Okay, so we still don't have Michael, so let's just keep rolling down. What since we don't have him, let's just go ahead and touch on the Saints and Lions. 2 1-2 teams. 2 teams that really need to win this game, or their division is going to leave them behind. Because it looks like Tampa Bay and Green Bay are actually figuring it out.
Oh yeah, they're the teams to beat for sure. Well, I mean, I still saw good things out of the Saints.
Yes.
So
Kamara is unstoppable. He is back.
Absolutely. He does everything too. He's fun to watch. I love him.
Mm-hmm. I'm sad I didn't get him this year. I thought they were just going to keep trying to prove Drew Brees is the man and try to throw it downfield.
I had to get him. I got him on one of my leagues, so I wish I would have got him on more, but I at least have him on one. So definitely happy about that.
Yep, he was still too expensive for me on the salaries, but I'm happy, because my mom's from New Orleans. I grew up being a Saints fan, and so they're like my favorite team to hate on, because that's what all Saints fans do. Because that's how the Saints have always been since the 80s.
Right.
It really sucks.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see that game going into a shootout on both offensive sides for sure.
But so Kenny Galladay's back. So
right.
That's going to keep the points up. Kamara versus Galladay.
If that defense doesn't kill New Orleans again, like they have been, I still give a little slight edge to the Saints.
I give a slight edge to Detroit because they haven't let Stafford loose. When are they going to release the beast?
I don't know what's up with holding some of these quarterbacks back from what they do, but it's happening a little too much. They're not letting them go out there and do what they're really, really good at and capable of doing.
It's killing me. I'm used to those 50-yard bombs to Marvin Jones and the screens, like that. Abdullah will be good for at least one screen for 30, 40 yards. And with DeAndre Swift there, and I mean, Adrian Peterson is pounding. Why not just give him a screen and see what he can do at least just one time? But to not give him any passes at all, like he just can't catch a cold. That's just ridiculous to me.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I don't understand when you have players that are capable of making things happen, how you don't find a way to at least throw them in the mix. It doesn't make any sense at all on the coaching side.
No, it doesn't. And I don't know why Matt Patricia would come in there and just be so animate that he's not going to let Stafford pass at all.
Yeah, crazy.
It doesn't. Like, why not, man? It's not like Stafford was ever a bad passer. He just hasn't had any weapons since Megatron.
Right, and he's been hurt a lot. So I think he's a super talented quarterback. I would love to see him slaying the ball all over the place because I know he can.
He's top 8 when he's healthy. And he has the best comeback stats, fourth quarter comeback stats than anybody in the league right now. He's won so many comeback games. It's crazy. Like 4 out of 5 games that he has to come back from, he wins.
Wow. Yeah, that's impressive.
Who has those kind of stats? So keep going. We haven't really touched on Steelers and Titans. Flipping it over, 2 3-0 teams that surely one is going to come out with a loss. Who will it be?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. we just saw Henry go off finally, and that was nice to see. But the Steelers have been kind of rolling along. You know, that defense is good. Benz can still play a little bit, here and there. No, he's actually doing really good.
I hate to say good things about Ben Roethlisberger, but he has looked good.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing his thing,
And I'm happy for Mumu Schitz-Juicer. I don't believe in Ben, so I didn't think Mumu would do very well. But he is. He got like some couple duck passes, and he was wide open. How do you not guard the former?
The speedster.
Come on.
Yeah, you can't do that. He'll burn you.
Didn't he win an MVP? What did he win when he was with Antonio Brown?
It was for being, it was on the rookie end, and I think it was even like age wise, like he accomplished something big at a super young age.
I thought he won something bigger than that.
It was a rookie something, I believe.
He won the Steelers MVP, 2018
Steelers.
MVP.
Okay.
I was like, I'm pretty sure he won an MVP. That's what Antonio Brown was all pissed off about.
He's like, what? This little kid's going to come in and...
Yeah, because, I mean, it's like without me, he would have never caught any of these. I'm being triple teamed, and I still got the same – they had almost even numbers. Like, Antonio Brown had like 7 less catches and like 100 less yards, and so they gave it to Juju. Like, well, Juju was wide open for all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Antonio Brown triple teamed, and he still gets the same numbers, and they don't give him the MVP. I'd be a little irritated.
Exactly.
I mean, I wouldn't go beat up on a bunch of women and stuff, but I would. I would find another outlet to be able to release that anger, but to totally just trash your whole team and now be out of the league, I don't think that was the route. That wasn't the right way to go. Did we get Michael back? Oh, no. I thought he had made it back in. So we already talked about the Ravens, but do you think Dwayne Haskins has a chance, or is it going to be a first sighting of Alex Smith? Or do they just kind of call it a wash and let Dwayne Haskins just get pummeled?
I kind of think so. I think they should. Then they'll learn. That's how you learn, right? You just got to go out there and see what happens.
See if you live or die. That's the Washington way. Watch your leg.
Exactly.
Oh,
What you got? How many more hits can you take? Let's find out.
Yeah. How many licks does it take to get to the middle of a Washington quarterback?
Yes, exactly.
So no chance. Do you still start Terry McLaurin against the Ravens?
Against the Ravens, after what I saw, shoot, why not?
Yeah, right.
He has been good despite all the stuff that has happened. He has been a pretty decent wide receiver for sure. So, he's probably in that flex mix. But yeah, he's been doing pretty all right.
And do we see what about
there?
So what about the other side of the well, are you still running with Antonio Gibson against that crazy Ravens defense?
I'm not sure. Not if you don't have to. I would say probably pump the brakes just a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not
yeah, I wouldn't.
I'm not too excited about it.
it.
And what about there was big talk about J.K. Dobbins coming in and taking Mark Ingram's spot. And last game, they didn't do anything for Mark Ingram. And there was some good passes to J.K. Dobbins. Do you keep trying to start Dobbins, even though he rushed once for 6 yards and caught all 4 passes, but Mark Ingram really didn't do anything either. So is it time to move on from trying to force J.K. Dobbins, or is this just another fluke?
No, especially because of the matchup. They did play, the Super Bowl champs, and they're about to play Washington. It looks like they're kind of in a, disarray with their quarterback situation and a lot of other things. So I would take advantage of that matchup and actually play them.
Okay. So what about Gus Edwards? And no one is talking about Gus Edwards.
He's kind of the one that I'm not too, high up on out of all of them.
Really? God, man, when he runs so powerful. Like, I love the way Gus Edwards runs. I wish he would get.
Yeah, he's a big dude. Yes. He is a big guy too. He's got size. He's got power. But
he looked like the best runner to me. This past week. Well, last night. This past week.
Right.
And he just on the season he has 18 rushes for 129 yards. That's like MVP numbers. They broke it up into what last game he had 4 rushes for 39 yards. But it was 4 rushes for 39 yards, averaging 9.75 yards per carry.
No, that is really good. That is good numbers.
Like that's better than anybody.
That's better than Ingram. Yeah, definitely better than Ingram and better than Dobbins as well.
Right. So
he'd be the number. He seems like he's the number one, and he's playing like he's the number one.
He seems like a sneaky stash.
Yeah.
If anybody's going to replace Mark Ingram as a handcuff, it looks like Gus Edwards is the handcuff.
Is the handcuff.
To me, but I've always liked.
Yeah, I think Baltimore is gonna, whatever they do, that they're gonna dominate that game for sure, no matter what.
I think if Ingram puts up another dud, we can look for Gus Edwards to start getting double-digit carries. Definitely. Like 10 or 11. Like,
keep him on your watch list for sure, because he's gonna be one that you want to pay attention to.
Yes, definitely. We touched on the Giants being a total dumpster fire over there, but what about Jared Goff and these Rams?
They're kind of rolling along, doing good, a lot better than what I expected. I think the Rams are going to keep winning, honestly, as long as the matchup's good. They're looking good. Goff and McVay seem like they're actually working better together, and it's definitely showing up on the field.
Mm-hmm. Bobby Trees. I'm excited. I'm still excited about Robert Woods. Even through all the slumps, he still did pretty well. And they still haven't figured out that run game over there. So I think
Right.
Bobby Trees and Cooper Kupp are still going to thrive well. And Tyler Higbee has just come out of nowhere and totally taken over that tight end position when it used to be looked like a kind of a 1-2 punch. Now he's the guy.
He's the guy, definitely.
So I would try to trade for him. Not too many people trade for tight ends, but you could get rid of somebody like who are we talking about as a receiver? Dang it, I forgot who we were talking about as a receiver to try to get out of. Oh, like Brandon Cooks. I would try to get Brandon Cooks for Tyler Higbee and see if anybody try to buy it or double it up on a good wide receiver with a tight end and a wide receiver. Higbee and another wide receiver to try to couple that up.
Yeah.
I would try to go get him.
It'll be good for the rest of the season for sure.
So I'd start all Rams against the 0-3 Giants who can't stop a nosebleed right now.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be money makers for Rams owners.
Mm-hmm. So we haven't talked about what I thought was the elephant in the room is Lamar Jackson did not make it past the test against the Chiefs, but we have another potential MVP with Cam Newton this week going against the Chiefs at Arrowhead. Does Cam Newton, with a better coach, have a better chance against the last year's Super Bowl champs?
I think they have a better chance than Baltimore, but I don't think they're going to win.
No chance, huh? All right. Oh, man. I was hoping something for Cam Newton.
No, but I am so pumped for this. Okay, I know I was pumped for this last Monday night game, but this game I'm just as excited for. Because you've got the elite coaching on both ends, great quarterbacks, and I'm loving what I'm seeing from the Patriots. I like that Cam Newton's doing good. I'm so happy he's just kicking back. He hasn't thrown a tantrum at all. He's just sitting there.
He hasn't been sacked like he's
right. He's enjoying
40 times.
Enjoying his little try. I guess it's not a tryout anymore, but his, I guess in a way, 1 year tryout. Yeah.
He's definitely not getting paid.
Yeah, exactly. He's just, moseying along. But man, I'm kind of excited for this one for sure. I just until somebody beats KC, I can't go against them. I know it's definitely at one point could possibly happen. The Patriots have probably one of the higher chances to being able to compete against them, though, for sure.
Yep, Mahomes struggles against Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good game.
Matters. We saw that last night, how important coaching is. So.
Well, speaking of coaching, we saw a huge uptick in Rex Burkhead's playing time and touches and production.
Everything went up on his end.
3 touchdowns?
Woo, 3 touchdowns.
Like how? What?
Yeah.
So is Rex Burkhead a definite pickup? Or do you think it's going to go like Belichick always does? Burkhead gets 3 touchdowns, and now James White is going to get 24 touches next week.
That's kind of more of what I'm leaning to because Belichick coaches that way. He coaches for every single game. And so he will make whatever adjustments he needs to make depending on who he's playing that day.
Yes.
So it's very hard to be like, oh my God, he scored 3 touchdowns. Let me just go right away and go all in on him. With Belichick, you have to be a little bit more aware that he does not coach that way. He goes with whoever he wants to on any given day and will change it before you even have a chance to think about
Yeah, it sucks. So Sony Michel or Rex Burkhead? Who are you starting if you have one?
Dang, that
Did
is
I lose
so
Maria?
hard. It's kind of like you close your eyes and then you point, and that's who you pick.
Yes, just a dart throw, huh?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's not what people want to hear.
I know. But for me, I like when somebody comes off of a super, hot game and they've got that like fire in them already. I kind of like going with that person who's the hottest right off the last game. So I guess from that, I would go with Burkhead.
It's gonna be tough. It'll be
It
so
is.
sad
It's very tough
to get Burkhead, and he doesn't even play.
Right.
A healthy scratch.
It's crazy. I mean, hopefully you have some other running backs and you're not, teeter-tottering. But that's, a lot of the teams this year are kind of like that. And we've seen it over the weeks. It's like one person does good this week and the next week. And so it does make it more challenging, but
I like Burkhead because he's healthy this year, but he's always hurt. And the problem is with trying to pick him up on waiver wires, and I'm warning people, is James White is not hurt. James White, dad died, and he is taking it very, very hard. And They haven't given him a timetable to come back. They just said come back when you feel like you can. And they don't need him back right now because they're 2-1. And so he's not there right now. But the moment he comes back, he's in. It's not going to be working him back into the offense or, testing the leg to see if he's healthy. No, he's rarely ever hurt, and he's not hurt now. So my problem with picking up Burkhead is that as soon as James White comes back, Burkhead goes into a split timeshare with Michelle, who's not hurt, and James White, who's the pass catching guy.
Yeah, I mean, if you already have him, if you went and picked him up last week and you don't have to go spend any money on him, or if you can get him for a, super reasonable price off of the salary cap, or just go snatch him up if you don't have a salary cap, then in those instances, you'd be on the safe side. But yeah, don't be going out and spending tons of money to go get him for maybe one more game or 2 more games,
Yeah. If you're in a salary auction or salary cap waiver, don't spend more than $8 to get him, because he's only going to be there for a couple of games. But if James White does not come back this week, he is definitely worth a waiver wire pickup. Like your second waiver, if you're in a snake kind of waiver, don't use him as a first. I go get somebody like Justin Jefferson or like even Kirk Cousins, or pick up a good tight end.
I mean, go get some of those Niner guys,
Right.
Absolutely.
But for a second waiver wire, I would definitely use Rex Burkhead as a second pick. So what I'm really excited about, one of my happiest games, is the afternoon game next Sunday between the Bills and the Raiders. Josh Allen is on fire. Stephon Diggs looks like he was right.
Yeah, he was. And he's showing off. He's showing off now.
Yeah. And in case you're spending too much time on Diggs, my favorite waiver wire pickup is Cole Beasley.
Woo! Yes. I went and got him on one of my leagues because I was so desperate. But I know he was doing stuff last year sneakily, here and there at the end of the season. He can still play. It's not like he's not this, in your face superstar, but man, he still does He does everything he needs to do and then some. So he's a great player to have.
Yes, yeah. I said it last year. Well, and when we were doing our rankings earlier this season, and I was saying, look, Josh Allen is going to have a good year. And if you don't believe in Stephon Diggs, I had Cole Beasley and John Brown. I got Josh Allen for $1 last year in the draft. I got John Brown for $1 in the draft. And then I got Cole Beasley for $1 in the waivers.
Oh, man.
Last year. And it looks like this year, well, you get Josh Allen for $3 in the draft. Got John Brown for $4 in the draft. And Cole
Oh,
Beasley is back on the waivers for $1.
Woo.
Or for free right now, but you could probably have gotten him for $1. And he always gets you 6 catches for 50 to 70 yards.
And he can score.
Yeah.
He'll get those scores every once, not consistently, but he will definitely at least probably get you one.
Right. He's not
and the
Edelman.
yard.
Yeah, he's
And
not
the
like
yards
Edelman.
in the game. Yep.
So I like that, especially when the Raiders are they're not a shutdown defensive type of team. It's going to be a high scoring game.
Right. You can definitely play and get positive outcome against them on the defense. Their defense is not on an elite level right now to be shutting down an offense like Bills.
Yes, high scoring game in the new stadium. They're going to be looking to take another one at home, and I think the Bills are going to be a rude awakening for them.
Oh yeah, they're going to leave their mark there for sure.
Mm-hmm. Especially since the defense was already decimated, it was really messed up in the second and third game, and now guys are coming back, so the defense is going to be back at that top 3 defense again. I don't see the Bills.
Yeah, they're going to be tough to beat. They're in the top 5 overall for sure.
Yep.
The Bills.
Yep. I even have them going to the Super Bowl this year, beating the Chiefs in the AFC Championship. Because it's cold out there in Buffalo.
Oh yeah, and they know they can play in that. It's hard to when you're not used to it.
Yep. So that's the only the biggest home field advantage for the Chiefs is it's cold. It's cold at Arrowhead, and most teams aren't used to that, but Bills are.
Yep.
And I think they're ready for them. I think they're ready for them this year. Well, we already know our Niners are going to beat the Eagles for Sunday Night Football. So
they better. Come on, guys.
Start all Niners and don't start any Eagles.
No, don't do that.
No, Wentz will be a good start because not Wentz. Ertz will be a good start because Goddard is out and Wentz has no choice but to throw the tight ends because that's all the time he has.
Exactly. That's all he has. That's all he has. Yep.
Is the rookie for Wentz, is he alive? God, what is his name? I dropped him at the beginning of the season with the shoulder injury. Oh man, I'm looking it up right now. His Jalen Reagor. There you go. He's been hurt the whole season. And nope, it looks like he'll be playing. He played 85% of team snaps. Oh, that was week 2. Let me find out. Nope, he's just having Twitter battles. And I don't understand how he has that kind of time.
Right, he needs to start studying, looking at the film or something.
Oh no, he is. That's right. He did. He tore that. I knew there was something. He tore a ligament in his thumb. He's on IR right now.
Okay.
So he's going to be out for at least another 4 to 6 weeks.
Playing. Howard? Jordan Howard is playing. He's not hurt, is he?
Jordan Howard plays for the Dolphins now. I think you're thinking about
that's right.
Alshon Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, yes. Sorry.
No worries. And I don't think he's
I I know he was
oh,
hurt,
he
but
practiced for the first time
okay.
a couple days ago. But
They're going to need him to play. I mean, hopefully he can go because they're going to need him.
they're going to need him, but is he going to do anything?
Right. I don't think against our defense. I think the defense alone will be able to hold him, shut him down fairly easy.
Well, they say Coach Peterson said Monday that Jeffrey, with the foot injury, will ramp up his activity in practice. So it looks like he's going to be a go no matter what.
Okay.
Even if he's not a go, which makes it even more of a luscious matchup for the Niners, because when he's not ready to go, he's just trash because he's not fast. He's just big.
Right.
But he's slower than Christmas. So I expect the Niners to kill this game. Another 20-point blowout with Jeff Wilson Jr. and Jerick McKinnon leading the way.
Yeah, I mean, they should just let Kelsey keep resting too if they can. I mean, I don't know how
Kelsey.
deep their tight end. I mean, sorry,
Oh, Kittle.
not Kelsey, Kittle.
What kind of Niner fan are you?
Both of them. I have both of them in fantasy. But Kittle, he might as well take advantage and just keep resting if he can. And just let the core who's starting try and win without him.
I hope not. I need Kittle back. I need Kittle back for my own morale. I'd be okay if we were 3-0, but we're not. And 2-1. I like to go into the bye weeks 4-0, but if 2-2 is not a way to go into the bye weeks. So if he can come back, and with Reed out, he's done.
Yeah, that's the thing is I know that Reed's out now, so I don't know how deep their tight ends go, and so he's probably going to have to come back and play sooner than later for sure.
There's still no extent to see when he's going to be back with that knee injury, and he hurt his ankle too. So I expect, if possible, that Kittle will be back, even though that knee injury did not look good at all. I think he should be out more than a month. But these football players nowadays, man, with all these shots and treatment with world-class trainers, they come back faster than they expected. Yep. But McKinnon has a rib injury. So do you think Jeff Wilson is a definite pickup for this week on the waivers?
There's not many running backs to pick up, so I would say yes.
Especially in a deep league.
Yeah,
definitely.
If you can go, because the running backs are depleting. I mean, I think now on the waiver wire list, there might be maybe 2, 3 at the most that might still be available that you even want to go pick up. So yes, I would go try and see if he's still out there.
Okay. Yeah, because Tevin Coleman, they put him on IR like last Friday. So he's definitely going to be out for the next 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So definitely an uptick for Jeff Wilson Jr. I would still start McKinnon until we find out any further news if he's not going to be there. And pick up Brandon Ayuk in deep leagues. So our last game. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying, and then you said, I mean, I'm assuming people might have held on to him, but Deebo Samuel, if he's coming back too, he might be floating out there in some leagues.
You think he's coming back this week?
I'm not sure if he is or not. But I know our wide receiver core is not, it could use some help for sure. So it'd be nice to get him back.
Well, said he will practice tomorrow. That's going to be his first practice back. So if you do pick him up because he's going to be good this season. But don't start him this week because he hasn't played really all year. So for wide receivers, it's gonna take him a little bit to get back in, sprinting 20 yards 15 times a game. That's not easy to do.
Right. Especially off of injury.
Right. So pick him up, but don't play him this week. But keep him. He's going to be good. So the last one is our Monday Night Football. Packers versus the Falcons.
Oh, man.
0-3 versus 3-0 at Lambeau Field.
Oh, I wonder how we're going to get entertained for this game.
Drunk.
What's the collapse of the Falcons going to be this time?
You know, this is a trap game. I wish Mike was here because this is the definition of a trap game. Monday Night Football, 0-3 versus 3-0. The Packers look to be able to take the easy NFC North. And like Rascon said, the Falcons were going to be terrible this year, and they are. But they are high scoring. They are high flying. And it is those type of teams. It's like a knockout punch. You know, a puncher always has a chance.
Right, because it just takes that one to knock you out.
Mm-hmm. And Todd Gurley's mad, but Brian Hill looked great. So if they cut Gurley's snaps, give some more love to Brian Hill, I think that the Packers could come in slacking this game because Aaron Rodgers always has a problem with his offense slacking when they think it's going to be an easy game, a gimme game. So I predict that Aaron Rodgers is going to have a struggle, and the Falcons are going to win by 3.
Oh, write that down.
A young way 48-yard field goal to seal it up. Asian invasion takes over the NFL. Come on, Young Wei. Who? Oh, I'm sorry. Not even supposed to laugh at my own jokes like that. But.
Yeah, that is a trap game for sure. High scoring on the Falcons end. Yeah, I mean, every game we've seen, they've self-destructed. So, you know, we know that what they can do.
We know what the Quinn can do.
Right. As far as how many points and stuff, of course, we can see that. You know, Matt Ryan, Ridley, you know, they're good. They can hit when they're flying on all cylinders. They can definitely keep up. But they just cannot ever finish. So
they need a run game. and
they're
realizing that Todd Gurley is not it.
Help. Right. They need some help on that running game. And hopefully Hill can, you know, just get in there right away and give them at least some kind of relief.
Yeah. Until Julio Jones makes an entrance to the football stadium.
Yeah,
is he going to play this year?
It all. He hogs it all and drops balls on top of that.
Yeah, like what is wrong with this guy?
Yeah.
I feel sorry. I'm even to the point where I'm thinking maybe even sit Julio. Is that a possibility to sit Julio Jones on an away game?
You have Ridley and Julio. Sit Julio and play Ridley.
Yes, I know. I've seen a few people do that combination this year, and are really taking some jabs to the face when it comes to starting Julio. So why? Like I sat Josh Jacobs this weekend. Why? Because he didn't practice Monday, didn't practice Tuesday, practiced very limited on Wednesday. No, Tuesday and Wednesday practice very limited on Thursday. So that gives me the sign that he's probably not doing that well.
Right.
Health-wise. Playing in a tough game. So I benched him. And he didn't, he turned out like 3 points.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to bench your stars. It sucks. It's the worst. It's the worst.
It pays off in the long run when you do it correctly against the matchups that you know, or like you said, you hear They haven't practiced. They're going up against a tough defense. Yeah, sit them. It's just 1 week. It's not that big of a deal. You'll be fine.
Oh, it's a big deal, but still, like you probably have somebody on your bench.
Overall, yes. just for that 1 week, it's okay. Take a breather.
Mhm.
Go and actually win. Don't leave your starter in there getting zeros or low numbers when you had somebody on the bench that could have replaced it.
And Julio, even when he's out there, he still draws triple coverage. That's why Russell Gage has been doing so well.
Yep.
So don't look at if Julio is active. Look at the practices this week,
Right.
because if he sits out again all week, well, Julio Jones doesn't need to practice. He's good on that. His chemistry with Matt Ryan is pretty good on that. Super Bowl quality. So he has to get a full practice in sometime this week. And I like to see 2 full practices if I'm going to start a wide receiver, especially a high-flying downfield wide receiver that needs those hamstrings. Right.
Yeah.
Against the 3-0 team.
Yeah.
On the road. I mean, every factor is built up against Julio Jones to not do well this weekend. So
Right.
I hate to give that kind of advice, but I would say if he doesn't practice or he has even one practice where he doesn't suit up at all, I wouldn't start him this weekend either. I give him 1 more week to try to work out those injuries.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So yeah, I think it's going to be a blowout by the Falcons.
Until 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Right, and then all of a sudden the Packers score 3 touchdowns in 3 minutes to win the game.
Game over.
But I truly have a feeling that it's going to be an implosion by the Packers, and they're going to see this as a BS game, and it's going to end up turning into a trap game that they're not ready for. And the Falcons are going to come out gunning with a bunch of no-name receivers that you never heard of.
Yeah, exactly. So, I guess that defense could be a little confused here and there just because they don't know who the heck he's going to be throwing it to. But I say, it's going to be a shootout for sure.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'll be drunk eating popcorn. That's not a good combination, and that's why it's going to be a great game. Okay, so that's everything. We've been on here for like 2 hours anyway, so so thank you everybody for joining us who are still out there with us, and thank you Maria for still sticking with me even though Rascone wussed out.
Go Niners!
Go Niners. And go Bears this year too. Go Nick Foles. I'm excited for Nick Foles.
Yes, I've always liked him, so go Nick Foles.
So thank you, everybody. You guys take care of each other. Stay blessed. Keep the faith. Thank
Good
you,
luck.
Marina.
Don't forget, a bunch of waiver wire stuff is going through tonight and tomorrow. So get on there if you haven't made your last, selections, because, it's going through. And people are going to be out there trying to pick up these, last bit of players that you really need to kind of beef up your teams for the rest of the season. So don't miss out.
Yes. So if you made it this far to the video, please hit like and subscribe. Hit that bell to know when we hit up another video, and we will see you in a couple days. Thanks, y'all. Take care. I am your host, Saxophone Delmone, with my homie,
Maria V. Bye, guys.
Take care, y'all. Bye. Okay, did I do it right this time?
I think it's still recording.
Oh, man. I always do that. Why do I always do that? There we go. That stopped. The Zoom has stopped, so that must mean
Mine still says live.
does it?
Yeah. I'm like, guys, don't peek.
Why do I suck at this so bad? Does the YouTube say it's still live or?
It says live on YouTube and the little top right corner of my phone.
Oh, it does still say live. That sucks. Pause? Okay. Well, I'll just end the whole Zoom thing then. So good job, Maria.
Alrighty.
I'll be in touch and we'll find out when we're doing the next one.
Okay, sounds good.
Take care. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you. Bye.